I may be a mad scientist, but taking an open Q&A from people on the internet? That is most definitely nuts. Hello everyone. Oh, we've popped over there a bit too quickly. There we go. Hello everyone. Hello, what's that? Hoss 00312. Thank you for following. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy your stay here. But yes, how are we today? How are we today? Well, I can't deny. I have very slightly overexerted myself in the last 24 hours. Going from being getting my second dose to AO there. So from going from getting that to Raguna, hello. So going from that to a lot of walking, to doing a lot of gardening, to then, yeah, I ended up mowing the lawn yesterday, and then I streamed for, what, nearly 5 hours? Which was a crazy amount of time. So, yeah, slightly overexerted myself yesterday, and I'm kind of paying for it today. But you know what? That's fine. Because this is the weekend, and my weekend streams are always nice and chill. We don't stress out, we don't worry too much, we just have a nice chill time here. And fortunately for me, it's a very nice and chill thing that we have planned today. Because I've been asking people to ask me questions on my Marshmallow, so I can answer these questions for them. So yeah, we're gonna move over to that in a moment. But yeah, some bookkeeping, some stuff to discuss and talk about before that. Let's see. Yes, I think I mentioned previously on a previous stream that there was some software that I was looking forward to using. A distributed computing package that's due out in the middle of next month. I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. It's really cool software. It's definitely more for like networking games or for distributed processing, which isn't something that I've really looked at before. It's not something that I've looked at, but it's something that I think could be very useful and very valuable. I think the software could be a game changer. So I want to learn it, and I'm going to use it as an excuse to learn about networking and that kind of stuff. So hopefully, I'll be making some form of environment where people can be communicating with each other through an app that I've made. Maybe it'll be a game, maybe it'll just be, something for the sake of practice. But, you know, I want to make something that's fun. I want to make something interesting, and I think I can do that using this software package. It's called the Ether Engine by Hadian. I've had my eye on it for nearly a year now, and I've been looking forward to it coming out. I've signed up for it so many times to get updates on it in case I forget. But yeah, looks like it's finally going into alpha. Looks like I'll be getting to play with it. I've been learning the language that it's built on so that I know how to actually use it. It's all built on Rust. And much to people's chagrin, I am actually enjoying Rust. I like it quite a lot. I'm looking forward to working with it more. I'm debating, depending on how much energy I have once we've worked our way through the questions, I might look at doing a little bit of a development stream. Or maybe not development, maybe more like, you know, watching me learning some programming. I don't know. We'll maybe do that. We'll see how much energy I have. We'll see if people have an appetite for it. I think it might be nice because honestly, after this, I'm probably just gonna end up doing that anyway. So yeah, I may stream it. We'll see how we feel. That'll be good. That'll be really interesting. Also, yeah, I think I will go for it. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how much energy I have. I've got plenty of water, so unlike last night, my hydration is not going to be a problem. I can take much time as I need. Plenty of time, no need to rush. Yeah, when I do a project like that, when I'm doing some programming, it's like comfort eating, but in educational ways. It's kind of like educational, I'm learning something. But it's also comfort eating, it's just like something comfy, something cozy, I can just wrap up warm. And if I'm not feeling 100% and I've got the brain power and my body isn't rebelling against me, then yeah, it's nice. I find it relaxing. Keeps me stimulated. It keeps my attention. Which is really nice. So we'll get onto that. Later, maybe. We'll see how we feel. As for me personally, yeah, there's going to be a couple of small changes to my schedule over the next week. TVPG, no problem being late. No problem. We've just been doing some bookkeeping. If you have the appetite to hang around for longer, I'm going to be doing some programming later, maybe. We'll see how I feel. We'll see if I have the energy for it. Hope you're having a good day. But yeah, so that's what's been going on with me. And this week, I'm thinking. I'm not entirely decided what I'm going to be doing yet, but I may be taking a little break on one of my usual streaming days, which are usually Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I may be taking a little break this week because a little bit of nice weather. We've got a little bit of nice weather, and I'm thinking of using it to go for a walk. I'm gonna take a little bit of a trip, walk to a nearby, well, not walk to, but travel to a nearby large hill, a large mountain, and I'm gonna go for a climb. I think I'm gonna do that. Hopefully I'll have the energy for it. But yeah, that's gonna be coming up. That'll be really good. I need, as tired as I am, I know I've just been saying, oh, I overexerted myself. Doing something like this really blows the cobwebs away from me. It gives me energy. Like, I find it really refreshing to just get away from what's all going on and what's happening in life, and I can just go for a hike. Enjoy the views, enjoy the exercise, enjoy the scenery, you know? So yeah, I think I may be taking a little day off this week. It depends. I've not decided on the exact date yet. So I'll be confirming my schedule tomorrow rather than today. But I know what I'm going to be doing this week. on streams. I know what I'm going to be doing. It's just a matter of when those streams are going to be. But we'll find out when they work. But yeah, I think, with that said, we're about ready to go over to the Marshmallow. And by all means, if you happen to come up with a question while you're watching, or you want me to elaborate on a point, if I haven't elaborated enough, by all means, just let me know. We are not in any major rush today. I'm just taking it easy. This is a taking it easy, chill stream time, okay? As if all my streams aren't chill already. For the most part. So yeah, let's move on to the Marshmallow. And we'll have a look at the first question that we've been given. Next slide, please. Here we go. So, starting off, first question received. What got me into becoming a VTuber? And well, this is a really good question to be asking pretty much any VTuber. Like, if you wanna get to know the VTuber, you wanna get to know why they're interested in doing what they're doing. This is a good one, of course. But yeah, so what got me into becoming a VTuber? So it started last year. It was after the Hollow EN debut. I'd been aware that VTubers had been a thing since Kizuna Ai, about, what was it, like 3-4 years ago now that she started? I've been aware that VTubers have been a thing for a long time. And as I was watching some of her videos, I thought to myself, yeah, this is going to be absolutely huge. This is going to be massive. At the time, I was part of a community using this app. I was talking about anime, manga, and generally Japanese stuff, and ended up writing an article on it about what Kizuna Ai was doing, how it was an evolution of the whole kind of virtual idol thing that was kicked off with Hatsune Miku, and yeah, it seemed to be pretty well received at the time. I've forgotten the name of the app. I didn't take I didn't actually save the article itself. I'd be really interested to read it again and see just how accurate my predictions ended up being. But I knew it was going to be big. I knew that VTubing was going to be a big thing. But, you know, aside from my exposure to Kizuna Ai back then, I actually kind of ended up falling off the radar. Like, I kind of stopped following what was happening with Kizuna Ai, with VTubing, the developing industry. So, yeah. I fell off for a couple of years, actually. I think, let's see, 2 years ago, that was 2019. Like, the last I really dipped my toe into it was when Kizuna Ai's album came out. What was it called? Hello World? Which I absolutely adore. I absolutely adore that album. There's so many chirpy, cheery songs. I know it was long ago. But it's got so many chirpy, cheery songs, and at the time, it was exactly what I needed to hear. So many of them are just so nice to listen to. I really like that album. I just has this ridiculous, cheery energy to it. It's so good. So yeah, got a hold of that album. That was 2019. And then didn't actually, like, I don't think I even watched any Kizuna Ai for like the following year. And even then, I only watched a couple of her things, like usually a couple of her little short videos, maybe 1 or 2 gameplay videos or streams. But yeah, after the album came out, I think that was just me. I had other stuff going on, other priorities, other things to deal with. Life was just going on. So didn't end up watching any following that. Until about 1 year after. Around about 1 year after, was the Halloween debuts, and one of my friends got quite massively into it. Well, not massively into it, but he was constantly sending me memes. He was constantly sending me links to tweets, Reddit posts about the Halloween girls. And I was just thinking, okay, this is just something, like, it is amazing that they're reaching these heights of popularity. It is amazing that this has become so much of a phenomenon. But it took me like a month before I actually decided, you know what, let's try watching some of these streams myself. And I don't remember exactly what stream it was. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Minecraft stream, to be honest. Knowing me and how I like Minecraft, it very well could have been a Minecraft stream. So yeah, I ended up watching a couple of streams and I ended up having a really fun time. And I really enjoyed watching the clips, and I enjoyed watching the girls having fun and their personalities, and I really enjoyed it. I honestly enjoyed it. I ended up diving quite deeply into it, watching lots and lots of streams, structuring my sleeping schedule for a short amount of time, around waking up early enough to watch streams, in and around my schedule. And yeah, I just ended up really, really enjoying it. And then it was around a month later. It was getting towards the end of October, start November, I think, where I started thinking to myself, you know what, this is so cool. I think I'd like to throw my hat into the ring a little bit. I'd like to throw my hat into the ring. I just saw what everyone was doing and realised how much fun they seemed to be having and how much people seemed to enjoy watching them, and I thought, you know what, maybe I can make a little contribution to it. Maybe I can do this bit. So did a little bit on my own, worked on a model, worked on getting background music, worked on preparing some streams, doing some streams, and doing a couple of applications for companies as well, and around all the rest of things I had going on. And wouldn't you know it, the opportunity came up, and here I am now. So that's kind of it. So kind of originally, you know, thanks to it's kind of another one of the standing on the shoulders of giants thing. Massive thanks to the people who went before, who popularised this whole thing, who made it so that I would have this opportunity, really. So yeah, just watching other people, seeing them have fun, seeing them interacting with their viewers. Yeah, it just seemed so fun, and everyone seemed to enjoy it so much, and I thought, you know what, let's go for it. Let's give it a try. Let's have some fun with it ourselves. And you know what? I have been having fun. So mission successful. Mission successful. So yeah, thank you for the question, whoever it was to have asked. And we'll move over to the next question. Where are we? Marshmallow slides. Here we go. Question number 2. Have I ever watched the Doctor Who series? And if yes, then if you had a choice, which Doctor would you prefer to travel with? If not, then without looking it up, what do you think the show is about? Well, first of all, I have watched Doctor Who. I watched a lot of Doctor Who. Actually, I don't know exactly how many seasons worth of Doctor Who I watched. I started with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. It was the 2nd episode of the new Doctor Who, was the first one that I watched. I watched it live, on its air date. I remember I was visiting my gran, it was a weekend, and Doctor Who was on, so I put it on, and the young Mal was a bit too intimidated by all the death. Doctor Who can be quite dark for being this kind of, you know, goofy TV show at times. It can be very dark. So the number of people dying and the creepy aliens and all the stuff going on, it was enough to creep me out. So I watched the second episode of Doctor Who season 1, and then stopped watching it. I stopped watching it right up until the very last episode of season 1. I decided to give it another shot, and I thought it was really cool. They had the whole thing with the Emperor of the Daleks, and the whole subplot with Rose, and then out of nowhere, where I had no idea what the hell was going on. Spoiler alert for, you know, a very old... Oh god, very old? It's not that... Okay, it's an old TV series. It's an old TV series now. But spoiler alert, the Doctor ended up being in the process of dying at the end of the episode. And then suddenly he regenerates into another form. So, completely new actor taking on the role. But you know, genius way of keeping a show relevant over the years, if you can't keep the same cast. Really good idea, really good concept. And then that Christmas, they had the Christmas episode. And I remember that Christmas vividly because I got one of my favourite board games ever for Christmas. And as I was playing with that board game, the Doctor Who Christmas special came on, the first one. And it was so damn cool. It was so damn cool. It was awesome. I ended up watching the following several seasons, actually. Like all the way through till the end of Matt Smith's Doctor. The end of Matt Smith's Doctor was kind of where I stopped. Like, I watched a couple of episodes of Peter Capaldi, but it just didn't grab me the same way. I think that was just, I don't know, maybe slight changes in writing style, the changes to the character. Maybe it's just the Doctor change as well, because honestly I was never, at the time, too taken with Matt Smith. Let's see, David Tennant. David Tennant was definitely my Doctor. He was my Doctor. So, yeah, in response to the second part of the question, which Doctor I would want to travel with, I'd want to travel with David Tennant's Doctor. He's maybe not the most balanced Doctor, especially in the later parts of the series. He gets very dark. He gets quite dark, and he gets some really interesting character arcs. But he's a really interesting Doctor. He's a really interesting character. I did find him to be a little bit flanderized in the... let's see. They had the kind of flashback episode. Not really flashback, but it was during the Matt Smith era, where they got a hold of David Tennant, and they got John Hurt to play the War Doctor, who was the iteration of the Doctor before season 1 started. This was during the Time War, the big cataclysmic event that kind of sets the rest of the series in motion of New Who. And you kind of figure out what his motivations for doing what he was doing were, the reasons why things happened the way they did. Absolutely amazing episodes. Absolutely amazing episodes. They're quite funny. There's a lot of lore there. Really hits you quite emotionally as well. But major problem being David Tennant's Doctor's just, I don't know. It just doesn't hold up. It's kind of in his rebellious teenager phase when he's kind of lost his closest friends and he's just kind of wandering himself. So yeah, he just ends up being like a caricature of himself. And I suppose considering it's at this point it's been several years since he was in the role, and you kind of have to re-establish the character. They think, oh, what's he known for? He's known for being pretty zany, so here's some of the zaniest plot threads. Let's tie up some of the things that we need to sort out. Like he had a very weird relationship with Elizabeth I of England, which was it was quite funny to see play out. But I don't think it was necessarily to his Doctor. I don't think it was necessarily to that Doctor's strength. But it was still a very good special. I think ideal Doctor to travel with for David Tennant would probably be before he gets a bit too dour, kind of thing. Around about the time that he's traveling with Donna would probably be the best. Donna was the best companion. I will die on this hill. Donna was the best companion. She was so damn good. Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. Absolutely fantastic character. Really wish she would come back at some point. Would be good. But I don't think they ever would. But we'd always be happy to see more. Catherine Tate's just great. She's hilarious. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Doctor Who. I did at one point watch all the way through the series again. Yeah, got as far as Capaldi and then stopped. Yeah. Maybe I'll pick it up again at some point. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But yes. Next slide, please. Thank you for asking that question. So specifically, what is my favourite field in science and why? And if you had the chance of being able to get more education, then what would you like to expand your knowledge on? Okay, so two parts to the question here. My favourite field in science depends on how specific you want me to get, because I can get kind of specific with these. I think my favourite field of science would probably be... I like a lot of different fields of science for a lot of different reasons. But I think my favourite overall would be cosmology. So, studying the structure of the universe, studying the history of the universe, and how the universe got to look like the way it does. I think that's my favourite one. And it ties into a lot of other aspects of physics as well. When you're one of the really interesting things, when you're talking about the universe on its biggest scales, so when you're looking at the entire observable universe, you think, okay, there's just a lot of material out there, there's a lot of gravity, there's a lot of this, that, the other thing. But despite being so massive, like on such a huge scale, so much of the universe is actually dependent on how quantum physics works. How the universe works on the tiniest scales ends up having a huge effect on the biggest scales. Like, the way that matter and energy were distributed in the universe shortly after the Big Bang was actually the reasons why there are some areas with more dense areas of matter and energy and some that are less dense is just down to random quantum fluctuations in the very early universe, when the universe was microscopically small. Like tiny little random changes in the density of energy from one point to another ended up being expanded out to structures that you can see on the scale of galaxies and whole filaments of galaxies at the edges of the universe. So yeah, cosmology touches on a lot of different things, and also it really is the best answer that we'll ever get. Or rather, it's the quest for the best answer we can ever get as to why we're here. What it means to be alive. What it means to exist. Does the universe exist? What is the nature of reality? Like these fundamental questions that, you know, a kid could ask you in the playground. And you could come up with any number of reasons, any number of answers, and there are any number of answers. But when you get to the real nitty-gritty of why we're here and where we all came from, it's the best answer, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's the best answer. Or rather, it's the quest for the best answer. It's a quest for the truth. The quest for the origin of why we are here. So I think that's why I like it so much. I do like quantum physics as well, because it explains why reality as we experience it is the way it is. So it's really cool too. There's so many different subjects in it. So many different things to think about and talk about. But I'll kind of restrain myself. I'll kind of restrain myself a bit. I'll find an excuse to talk about them at some point, I'm sure. I'm sure I will. And if I had the chance of being able to get more education, what would I like to expand my knowledge on? Ooh, there's so many different subjects that I'd like to expand my knowledge on. I would definitely like to do... I would really like to get into some more astronomy, to be honest. More astronomy, more cosmology. I have a couple of friends from university. I've got a friend who is working in academia, and he's looking at star formation. That's what he's looking at, how a star forms from a collapsing cloud of gas and the processes that it goes through. And that's really cool. Like, it's quite niche, but it's difficult to do for many reasons, mostly because they're not very bright, these little not quite yet stars. They're not very warm, they don't release much light, they're hard to see. So there's all kinds of tricks you can do to try and figure out what's really going on there. But I think the most practical stuff that I'd like to expand my knowledge on, I would really like to expand my knowledge on more programming, to be honest. One thing that I found while I was studying was the amount of programming knowledge that you need to have to be able to really interact with a lot of astrophysics and a lot of physics in general is quite a lot higher than they end up training you for at university. Like, university is really good for teaching you the theory, but if you want to get into things in practice, if you want to do simulations, if you want to be analysing data, then you kind of need to use a bit more programming than you're kind of exposed to in a purely theoretical course. You do get some, of course. We were introduced to programming in MATLAB, which I used to joke was basically a glorified calculator, but that's how we used it. That's how we used it. Every programming language is basically a glorified calculator, if you think about it in that way. So, perhaps a bit unfair of me at the time. I've since learned quite a lot. So yeah, you do learn how to do some programming. You do learn how to do. You learn how to do all the analysis that you need. Yeah, it is. It literally is just a glorified calculator, like all programming languages are, really. They're all basically just using mathematics, linear algebra, all these kinds of things. Like, even just your basic circuit board, like a very simple circuit that just uses ones and zeros, you are just doing some maths. You are just doing maths, but all in base 2. And it's all just in the hardware. So yeah, not necessarily. I'll say I wasn't completely wrong, but I was uncharitable. I'd say I was uncharitable. But yeah, I'd like to learn a lot more about programming. I have a lot of experience when it comes to the mathematical side of things. I have a bit of experience when it comes to designing apps and games, these kinds of things. But one thing that I would really like to have more experience on is doing networking, or being able to connect with computers across the internet, these kinds of things. I've dipped my toe into them in the past. Like, I've had a look at using Node.js and doing some web design and these kinds of things, but I could do with some more formal information on setting these kinds of things up. I think that's something that I would really like to do. And as I said before, it's something that I think I'll be able to do a bit more of while I'm learning the Ether software. Like, what's it called, the Ether engine, when I start working with that, because it's all about networking. It's all about distributed computing. You can do all that kind of thing. You start out locally, but I'm pretty sure I'd be able to play around with it maybe on my old laptop. Maybe on my laptop. Maybe get a little network going and get things connected to them. We can see how that would go. But yeah, definitely looking to expand my knowledge on programming. But anything to do with astrophysics, anything to do with physics, anything to do with astronomy, more than happy to continue learning about. More than happy. Because it all interests me. It's all fascinating. And maths. Oh, maths. I've become way more of a maths nerd since graduating than I ever was while studying. I really like learning about kind of obscure maths and finding interesting applications for it. So yeah, a little bit more of a formal mathematical education. I wouldn't say no to that either. That'd be really fun. So yeah, in short, favourite field in science? Cosmology. What would I like to learn if I was to go into more education? Anything. Pretty much anything. Programming, more astrophysics, more quantum physics, maths, you name it. You name it, I'll have fun with it. Thank you very much for that question. So, next slide, please. What is the most difficult hike you've been on? Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. I like this question. So, the most difficult hike I've been on. It was actually on the hill or mountain that I'm going to be climbing, hopefully this week. I'm not going to say its name. I'm not going to say its name. But it's an absolutely fantastic hike. Maybe one of the most iconic in Scotland. Maybe not the most iconic, but one of the. Let's see, it was maybe coming up on 3 years ago now. I decided to take a hike on it one day. I had a day off work and I was working the next day, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to go for a hike up this hill. And I went hiking up it with a friend. We ended up heading over to where the start is. And, you know, it was completely fine. It was a bit of a dull day. I think it was a bit windy. I remember it being very windy. And it was quite dark and it was threatening rain a couple of times. But it wasn't too bad. It was kind of pleasant as we were starting the walk. You start just off the shore of the ocean, and you walk inland and uphill, of course, through some pine forestry, which is absolutely lovely, very atmospheric. And as you keep climbing, you eventually come out past where the trees stop on the open moors, and it really opens up there. There's this lovely stream that cuts across the path in a couple of places. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. And then it's completely open. You walk up the top of this valley. I want to say valley, but it doesn't really seem like a valley. Like right on the side of the mountain. Definitely a glacial valley on the side of the mountain. So you walk through broadly the middle of it, kind of going up on one side. And then you follow along a ridge of the peak. You follow it up and you curve around and eventually come up to the peak. Which is normally fine. I'd done the walk once before when I was a bit younger. I don't know how many years ago that was. But the major difference when I was doing this hike, after we passed the valley part, when we started getting onto the ridge leading down from the peak, yeah, the wind really picked up. It was super windy. And honestly, we nearly flew away. We nearly get blown off the mountainside. We nearly get blown off the mountainside by the wind. I think, really, it would have been safest to stop and turn back. And we actually did find, we actually did meet a group of people that had split up. One person had came back down, and a group. Wait, how did this work out? I forget how it had gone. I think one person had stopped, or they'd fallen behind their group somehow. Very, very charitable group, leaving their friend for dead. And we ended up speaking with her, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, no, the others have kind of gone on ahead. I said I had to rest." And we were like, "Oh, well, the peak's not too much further from here. The peak's not too much further. It's just kind of up there." But sadly, she actually had to stop, and she was beaten. She was beaten by the weather, so she had to turn back. But we continued on, and there was actually, I remember there was this exceedingly humongous rock. It was maybe the size of a large car, and it was balanced on a bunch of other boulders. You can actually crawl underneath this humongous rock and then get some shelter from the weather underneath it. It was really cool. It was really cool. So we chilled out there for a while. The path isn't too dangerous. It's like on a slope. There's like a rocky slope that leads down into like the head of that valley that you walked through before. But yeah, not too dangerous. Like if you fell, you probably would be alright. You'd like bounce once, twice, and probably be fine. You wouldn't slide right the way down. I say fine, you would probably break a bone or two. Anyway, so we were still walking up this, and every few seconds, the wind would come in big gusts. You know, you take a couple of steps forward, and then there'd be this massive rush of wind, and you'd have to clutch onto the rocks below you that you're passing by, and try not to blow away. I don't think it would have really like lifted us up, but depending on how you hold yourself, like we were wearing pretty thick jackets at the time, and if you didn't hold yourself right, the wind would be able to bowl you over. You would be blown over by the wind. But yeah, we continued up, and above the path it's a very sharp, steep cliff face of these boulders. But you can kind of go around it to get up to the top. And it was around about that point we met the rest of that woman's group. There's maybe 3 others. They'd pushed on that little bit further, but they decided as well it was too much for them. It was far too windy. They needed to go back. So we passed them on the road and we said, yeah, your friend's fine. She's just turned back as well. She'll probably get you at the bottom of the spur. You can probably see her down there. And it was around about that point that we actually got into the cloud layers. We got into the clouds. So you could see all right. It was like a very misty, foggy day. Being in the cloud, like you could see, I don't know, like 50 meters in front of you, passably well. So it wasn't impossible to see where you were going. It wasn't impossible to see, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't too easy. Then we basically just continued up the path, and eventually we managed to not be blown away. Made it right the way to the top. And of course, every one of the hills we've got here has a stone marker right at the summit with a little plaque on it. Some of them are just like stone piles. They actually use them as military training exercises sometimes. What you'll usually see is that when one of these has been built, on the plaque it'll say this was erected by this company of this military detachment, kind of thing. I think what they do is they kind of use it as like a team building exercise, or like a kind of a training exercise. They just say, right guys, we're going to pick a day with rough weather, you're all going to go on this big hike, and you're going to place this little monument here. So everyone load up your bags with bricks, and go for it. So yeah, I think it was one of those. But the most well-travelled of these places usually have something a bit more special about them. And on this one, it actually included, I think there was a map. It showed you a map of the local area. And there was there a sundial? I think there was a sundial on it as well. Which was really cool. I really love seeing it. I really love seeing stuff like that. And at the top, you couldn't quite see the sun, but the clouds were low enough overall that you could see that the sun was above you. It wasn't just dark grey skies. You could feel that there was sunlight up there. But of course, as you look around the peak, all you can see is the mist and the cloud. You can't see very far at all. You can't see any of the surrounding hills. You can't see down to, you know, ground level again. But it was an absolutely fantastic trip. Absolutely fantastic walk. And then of course, the walk down, so much easier than the walk up. You're not fighting gravity again at that point. You're just walking downhill, which is next to no effort. Although, we did have to rush a little bit, because as early as we got up to make the trip, I think, did it end up being on a weekend or something? Or was it just the time of year? I forget. But we really had to rush to try and get back so that we could travel back home. It was like the last public transport to get us home. It wasn't like too late, but where we were, there's only limited transport there and back. So we had to rush back down the path, and we were kind of worried, we were kind of panicking. We were struggling to get a signal on our phones to tell what time it was or when we would need to be there by. But it turned out we were completely fine. we ended up hitchhiking. This guy who I'm quite sure was drunk and had a dog in the back of his van gave us a run. And yeah, he was very nice though, very nice. But I'm pretty sure he was drunk. So we made it back. We had plenty of time. It turned out the transport was delayed anyway, so we weren't in too much of a rush after all. So helped ourselves to some food from the nearby supermarket and settled in to chill on the way back. And you know what? It was a good day. As stressful and as chaotic and as windy and dangerous as it was absolutely fantastic. And we just decided amongst ourselves, you know what? They told us that we couldn't do it. Others turned back and didn't make it. We made it. And at the end, we actually got to wave to the group of hikers that we passed on the hill. They were heading home at the same time. So we got to say hi to them. I think we waved them. That was nice. That was really good. It was a really good hike. Fortunately, the weather for hiking this week is going to be a hell of a lot better than it was back then. So I'm looking forward to doing that walk again. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be great. It'll be absolutely great. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that was probably the most difficult hike I've been on. I've probably been on longer ones overall. It's not that long a hike really. We're talking maybe, I don't know, 4 hours or something round trip. But yeah, that was definitely the most difficult. Definitely the most difficult. But yeah, so thank you for the question. Next slide, please. I wonder if it's true what they don't hide beneath their kilts. Okay, yeah, this is entirely true. This is entirely true. They do say a true Scotsman wears nothing under his kilt, and this is true. Unless it's a rental. Unless it's a rental. But generally, yeah. This is kind of a thing. This is kind of a thing. Many jokes made about it, but yeah, it is actually a bit of a thing, bit of a tradition. Although, you know, it's not only Scottish culture that has the whole thing of like guys wearing effectively a skirt. Actually, if you're not familiar, in ancient Rome and Greece, for example, they tended to wear like togas and things along those lines, which did effectively amount to, you know, kind of a dress, a skirt, that kind of thing. And this was actually seen as a very civilized thing for them to be doing. It was very civilized for a man to be wearing one of these. And in fact, when they encountered other any other cultures, for example, if they met the Celts, they met the Celts in Gaul and in Britannia, they would look at them and they would see they happen to wear trousers, quite a lot of them, because the weather's a lot colder there. You know, it's colder, you need closer fitting, warmer layers to stay warm. So they looked at these people and they saw that they weren't wearing togas or what have you, and yeah, they basically said that they are exceedingly barbaric for not wearing the civilized clothing. So by that logic, Scottish kilts, in fact, very, very civilized, very, very advanced. Dear. So yeah, something tells me that the ancient Romans didn't exactly have underwear either. I don't think they were too bothered about underwear. Maybe a loincloth or something like that, but yeah, I don't think they would have been too concerned about it either. But it's all interesting, all interesting. I like learning about ancient cultures, the way that different cultures have their own traditions and stuff. It's all really interesting to me. So yeah, thank you for the question. Next slide, please. Ooh, now, what's my opinion on light echoes and the futile attempts of scientists in proving Einstein wrong? So this is an interesting one. So I'm not going to deny, I did have to brush up on some of my astronomy and reconfirm what a light echo actually was. I did know that it was something to do with the light that comes off of usually a supernova. It's usually the kind of thing that's bright enough to do the job. I wasn't sure if by light echo it meant it was caused by gravitational lensing, because that's the thing that happens as well. It's where the light that's emitted by a supernova or by a star is the path of the light is bent by the gravitational field of a large object. This can be another star or a planet or a black hole, anything like this. So I wasn't sure if that was because of that. There's a lot of pictures where you look at one galaxy that is set behind a cluster of galaxies that's in front of it. And because there's a very large cluster of galaxy in the middle between you and the galaxy you're looking at, what you see is the galaxies in the middle and their gravitational field works like a lens. It's a bit like the lens in your glasses. It kind of focuses the light from the distant galaxy, and it can change the path that the light from that galaxy takes. So quite a lot of the time what you end up seeing is you see little images of the same galaxy around about the cluster of galaxies that you're seeing that act as a lens. You can see a little bit of it smeared up in the top left, the bottom right kind of thing. It's just a very out of focus picture kind of thing. But yeah, that those kinds of effects are really interesting, because when you can confirm that the lots of little images and little bits of light from the same galaxy are visible in different spots around a cluster of galaxies, you can go, okay, so now what I can do, I can reverse engineer what the distribution of mass is in this galaxy cluster that's in the middle. It basically turns into a laboratory in space. You can test theories of gravity by looking at the light from a distant galaxy passing through a cluster of galaxies that's between you two. And yeah, you can learn a lot of really interesting stuff that way. But this is a bit of an aside. I wasn't sure if that was what they meant by light echoes, but it's not actually what they meant by light echoes. As it happens, what a light echo is if you have a supernova that happens, you know, in our galaxy or in a distant one, what you'll see is the first light that reaches you from the supernova is the light that's came straight at you, that's come the shortest possible path between you and the supernova. And then what you sometimes see is you'll see little flashes of light in the general vicinity of the source of the light that kind of come but at a different angle, kind of thing. And what it actually is light from the supernova that hasn't come directly at you, but is reflected off of something like a large cloud of gas. And you can see the same light from the supernova, and it looks like it's coming from somewhere much further away than the supernova, or further away than it should have done. It looks like the flash, because the speed of light is constant, it's finite. It seems like that light would have come from somewhere much further away than it could have possibly been emitted at the same time. It gives the illusion of it having happened somehow before the actual supernova, and the light is reaching you from further away than it should have. But it turns out that in a lot of cases, it's really just reflecting off of a gas cloud that's closer to you, like it's between you and the supernova. It's taken a longer path, and it just looks like it would have happened further back. So they're not actually directly related. The light comes from the same source, it just kind of looks like it's coming from somewhere nearby. I'm probably not explaining it quite as well as I could do. It's a little bit, what's it like? It's a bit like a sound echo, I suppose. If you're standing, imagine you're standing in a town square, and it's quiet, and someone shouts at the other side of the square. The first thing you hear is the sound that comes from them directly, but then shortly afterwards you hear sound reflecting off of one of the walls of the square, like one of the buildings around the square. And it sounds like there would be someone further away than where you actually hear it from, because the sound is quieter than what you heard from the person themselves. But really, the sound did just come from the same thing. It's basically the same thing as sound echo, just with light instead of sound. So yeah, that's basically what a light echo is. As far as my opinion's concerned, I think it's really interesting, and it can teach you can learn quite a lot about what space looks like. You can probably learn quite a bit more about different kind of gas clouds and the ways that the light is reflected. You can learn about differences in the interstellar medium. You can probably learn a bit more about the supernova itself by getting two different signals. From the same supernova. You can learn quite a bit. But yeah, when it comes to the futile attempts of scientists to prove Einstein wrong, it depends what you mean by that. I get the impression that when these light echoes were first detected, there would have been a lot of a buzz about it. People would have been wondering, oh, does this mean that this information, this light, has travelled faster than the speed of light? What does that mean? And this kind of thing comes up not too infrequently. There was quite a buzz, I think in the early 2010s, when there was a experiment looking at neutrinos, Neutrinos are very, very light particles. They have mass. They are not massless like photons are, like light is. They have mass. But for some reason they seem to be going faster than the speed of light, which, according to Einstein, should be impossible. There should be no way to travel faster than the speed of light if you have any mass at all. But they seem to be going faster. And there was a massive buzz in the scientific community. Everyone was wondering what was going on. So many papers and theories were flying around trying to explain what had happened. And it turned out there was just a fault in the clocks that were making the measurements. There was just a timing error. So yeah, that was another case where people were convinced that something was wrong with Einstein's theory of general relativity. And they were proven wrong. There was in fact no discrepancy at all. It was down to something else. That having been said, and despite the wealth of evidence in support of general relativity, it's not the most accurate prediction in physics, but it's one of the most accurate predictions. It's one of the most accurate predictions. But it's not perfect. It's not perfect. There is a point where Einstein's theory of relativity breaks down. It's questionable whether it really works on a galactic, not on a galactic scale, on a universal scale. There's some theories floating around that dark energy and dark matter might not actually exist. It might just be that we don't have a complete image of what gravity looks like on these scales. There might be something missing that explains why the universe is the way it is without needing dark matter, dark energy. So Einstein might be wrong in that regard. I don't think he's likely to be wrong in that regard. I think it's most likely that there is some form of dark matter. It's very likely, I would say, that there's going to be some dark matter. Might be wrong though. Might be wrong. Einstein's general relativity might break down when it works on galactic and intergalactic scales. But Einstein's theory of general relativity does break down, and we know that it breaks down on quantum scales, on the smallest scales of the universe. If you have... Okay, so the laws of motion, even if you look at... even if you just take Newton's laws of gravitation, where the force experienced between two objects is stronger the closer the two objects are. When you're looking at things on a quantum scale, like the size of, either atoms, or the forces between different electrons, or the parts inside a nucleus, these particles are incredibly, incredibly close together. So you would think that the gravitational force between them would be very strong, because they're very, very close. The force should be really, really big. But that's not what we end up seeing. That's not how gravity works on a really small scale. So it turns out that, and of course there's also like the nuclear forces, and there's the electromagnetic force. They tend to be a lot more significant when it comes to holding an atom together than the gravitational force. But even when you account for that, the gravitational force doesn't behave the way that it should on a small level. So Einstein's theory of general relativity, it works incredibly well on big scales, but on the small scale, doesn't work. Einstein's theory, it's not wrong, but it's incomplete. It's incomplete. The question is, how do we resolve this? How do we find this? And the discrepancy between quantum physics and general relativity, the two most accurate predictions in physics. It's actually the biggest problem in physics right now. To be able to solve it, and the solution for it, if there is one, It's what's been proposed as being the theory of everything. It'd be the one rule that basically describes how the entire universe works. But we've not got there yet. We've not got there yet. And it'll be interesting to see if there is, in fact, a universal rule. It'd be interesting. The one rule to rule them all, exactly. Exactly. Bit of an aside, but the standard model of particle physics basically describes everything in the universe aside from general relativity, and it's basically correct in every single way. There are a couple of things that are a little more questionable and that we could do with a bit more expansion on, mostly to do with quarks. No, not quarks, sorry. Maybe a little bit to do with quarks. But, what are they called? Mostly to do with neutrinos. But yeah, really interesting, really interesting stuff. All of physics, all of chemistry tends to fall out of the standard model. It's really interesting, So yeah, so light echoes, really interesting. Mostly I think, yeah, people would have thought, okay, maybe this proves Einstein wrong, but it turns out there is actually a very reasonable solution to it, and there's a good analogue for it in your everyday experience. As far as Einstein being proven wrong, Einstein is almost certainly wrong. His theory is not complete. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for the question. And I think we have another slide. Let's see. Yes, we do. So if I was a nut, what kind of nut would I be? Okay. This is a fun one. Oh, I think, is that yet another one? No, it's not. Okay. But yeah, this is the last question. So what kind of nut would I be? Let's see. If I was a nut, I'd have to say I would be a chestnut. I would be a horse chestnut. And that's for a couple different reasons. When I was quite young, we went on holidays to caravan parks. Very kind of common recreational thing to do here. So we took trips to caravan parks. And in one of the first that I went to, the caravan park had a lot of chestnut trees. So I ended up collecting the chestnuts that had fallen from the tree. And I kept them in a shoebox. And I took them home with me, and I had them on my bed for probably years. I had them. This was when I was very small, like 8 years old, somewhere around there. So I really liked them. I love the colour of them. I didn't roast them over an open fire. No, actually I didn't. Never did. I will get back to some Yuletide experiences, but give me a moment on that. But I love the colour of chestnuts. When you get like a new chestnut and you look at it and you see like the marbled browns and amber, and they're just lovely lustrous colours to look at. They're like polished wood. They're absolutely gorgeous. I love looking at them. You know, wild ones anyway. They're really nice. I have actually eaten chestnuts. I have eaten some chestnuts. Not last Christmas time. Last Christmas time I did get some chestnuts as well, but I've not got around to eating them yet. The Christmas before last, I did get a bag of chestnuts because they were for sale at a supermarket near me. So I bought a bag of them, and I ended up you kind of cook them by cutting a cross in the shells with a knife, and then putting them in the oven for, I don't know, like, was it 10 minutes, half an hour, something like that. And then you just crack open the shells and you eat them. And they were really nice, actually. I didn't expect the flavour to be quite what it was. Like, nuts generally have quite a savoury flavour to them, but the roasted chestnuts, if I had to describe its flavour at all, I'd have to say it tasted like beef. Like, it tasted amazingly beefy, like very very much a meat like taste. It was really nice actually. Although it was the kind of thing where if you eat too much of it, you're kind of going to be put off it after a little while. Like, you can't eat too many of them. The problem was that I cooked them all at once. And they are definitely better warm. They are most definitely better to eat warm than cold. But yeah, they were very beefy. I wouldn't eat too many of them at once. Again. Maybe that's why I didn't get around to eating the ones from last year. I'm not even kidding. I've had them for something like, let's see, I would have got them in like November, so they're like 9 months old. They're just sitting in the fruit bowl downstairs. They're nice to have for ornaments. But the variety they've got for eating, or at least the variety we have here, they're not as round as the ones that I grew up with. The ones that I grew up with are very round. They would be the kind of things that you take a hammer, you put a nail through them, and then you tie some string through it, and you play conkers. You play conkers, where you pick your conker and your friend has a conker as well, and then you take turns smashing your conkers against each other until one of them breaks. That was the game. That was conkers. And that was a hell of a lot of fun, actually. I remember I did it once when I was young with actual conkers. But I also ended up getting this little toy. There was like a toy version of conkers, where it was like a round plastic face, like a head kind of thing. And it had these little... They were almost like jigsaw pieces that were placed in the tops of them. And what you would do, you would smack your toy against the others, and the first person who's like the little bits at the top, the jigsaw pieces, the first person who lost all of those bits was the loser. So it was an interesting little game. I think I preferred Beyblades overall. As much as you could get Beyblades up to like 10,000 revolutions per minute, they cause a lot less harm than those toy conkers ever did. There was a lot of swinging, a lot of uses bolas, a lot of violence with those things when I was young. But yeah, no, fun times. So yeah, if I was a nut, it would be a chestnut. Not my go-to for eating, but definitely the prettiest, definitely the most fun, is what I would say. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the marshmallows that I've received. So thank you to everyone who sent some in. I really enjoyed getting to read them. Actually, I liked getting asked all these questions and seeing what people had for me. Let's see. Yeah, they were all good. Enjoyed them. So what shall we do now? Shall we do some programming? I might do some programming. Ooh, we can take a little aside first though. Because something quite funny happened earlier today. If you're familiar with Amberglow, it seems that we have a running ranking of how say-so works, and which of our members is the most say-so. This always happens. Like it comes up like every month or so, where people are like, okay, yeah, no, we need to re-establish the say-so pecking order. We need to establish the say-so pecking order, so that we know who's the most say-so. That's kind of the thing that we do, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust the... Can I use this? This would be lovely. Right, copy and paste. Paste. Can I paste? Right, paste it in here. Yeah, man. Say-so is just a concept at this point. This is entirely true. This is entirely true. Excuse me for a moment. Thank you. Yeah, say-so is a concept at this moment. As Shura has been fond of saying recently, say-so is a state of mind. According to Shura, say-so is a state of mind. So yeah, that's the whole thing. And let's change this file. Let's browse my Amberglow resources. Where is... there we are. I saved it in Marshmallow just for convenience. Here. Visible. Oh dear, this is large. Right, yeah, we've got an updated ranking. This is according to Amberglow management, okay? Raccoon Boss's dream is dead on arrival. Maybe, but not entirely. Not entirely. So yeah, we have the new updated say-so list. So who do you think is the most say-so? And who do you think is the least say-so? That's my question for you guys. Who do you think is most and least say-so? I maintain that I am incredibly say-so. I am like the most say-so. I maintain this. Most would be Misaki or Mao. Yeah, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. Shura for the least. Still little to Misaki for the most say-so. Okay, they're pretty good. They're pretty good suggestions. Pretty good suggestions. I maintain that I'm actually one of the most say-so. I'm definitely one of the most say-so. I don't know if I'm really the most say-so. We'll see. But I think I'm fairly say-so. I'm fairly say-so. But yeah, without any further ado, here is the updated, approved by Amberglow management. Approved by Amberglow management say-so list. At the top, we have Misaki as the most say-so. Second, we have Ash when he is on stream. To be fair, I have been on a couple of his streams. I have heard him on his streams. And as much as he has that personality, he doesn't swear very much. But yeah, then it's me. Of course, I'm very say-so. Followed by Shura. Now let me see. There was a bit of a comment on this. There was a bit of a comment that was made about this. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Shura is the next most say-so apparently. But then, according to our managers, the gap between Shura and the other four is very, very wide. So we've got Nunki and Chelsea that are around about the same level. Siolan makes some pretty questionable noises. Oh dear, yeah, some of them, a bit concerning, some of them. She needs to be careful when she's doing food review streams. She definitely does. So yeah, Nunki and Chelsea are round about the same level of say-so. We are then followed by Ash when he is talking on Twitter. And he has no filter. He has no filter when he's on Twitter. Absolutely no filter at all. And then at the very bottom, yes, we have Siolan. Now this is kind of funny to me. This is kind of funny. Because Siolan gives this energy of being so chill, so laid back, so mature, you know? And yeah, it turns out she's the least say-so of all. You know? But apparently, despite there being a big gap between Shura and everyone else, yeah, the gap between the last four is very small. There's not much of a gap. There's no gap between Nunki and Chelsea. There's no gap there. Ash, slightly less say-so on Twitter. Yeah, he is, yeah. And, yeah, Siolan. Wait, are we talking Siolan? The games that she plays tend to tilt her? Yeah, because, I've heard her playing Apex. I've heard her playing Apex in the The Amberglow VC. I've seen Ash on Twitter, and yeah, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Undeniable. But yeah, Sulan, when she's playing Monster Hunter, or when she's playing Apex, yeah, she removes her filter. She has no filter on those games. No filter at all. But I'm surprised that Ash was rated higher than me on the Say So tier list. I'm honestly surprised. Like, I've been on stream with him, I've watched some of his streams. He doesn't swear very much, he's not very... He doesn't... He doesn't come on quite as strong as he does when he's on Twitter, or when he's chatting generally. Ash is technically an angel. He's a fallen angel, though. He's a fallen angel. He's a fallen angel. But Misaki, I say that Misaki is questionable. I still, Ash being split into two is a wee bit unfair. That is not unfair. That is not unfair at all. That's not unfair. I think it's very fair that it should be split in two. I think really, if we were going to be making a defined tier list, if we averaged Ash out, he would be between Shura and the Nunki Chelsea double. That's where he would be on average. Because there's a big, as it's been established, there's a big gap between Shura and then everyone below Shura. Hello, Drazrik. How's it going? No problem. You missed, yeah, maybe I should put some bots into the chat. We'll see about adding them. But yeah, yeah, I'd say Ash would be somewhere between Shura and then Nunki and Chelsea, somewhere in the middle. Yes, you missed the black hole talk. Actually, was there a dedicated black hole question? I did end up talking a bit about black holes. But there wasn't actually a dedicated black hole question, sadly. There was a bit talking about gravitational lensing when we were talking about light echoes. But it'll be there. It'll be there in the VOD. You're more than welcome to check that out if you're interested in the questions. But thanks for dropping by. Do appreciate it. We're currently discussing the new updated Amberglow Say So tier list. But yeah, Misaki. I take issue with Misaki being at the top. Because every now and again, I pop around people's streams, and when I pop in on her when she's playing Fate Grand Order, what do I happen to see but her respectfully looking at the summer summon cards? And, you know, I don't play Fate Grand Order myself. I don't know if there's any mechanical reason why you would necessarily have to. But yeah, when they're all in their summer outfits, you know, okay, yeah, there's nothing wrong with appreciating art. If she's, I think Misaki is probably a bit more unsay-so than people think, but I think she kind of does it on the sleep. Should be telling about Fate Grand Order Kiara. I know about Fate Grand Order Kiara. Okay? But yeah, no. Yeah, I would say Misaki's probably on the balance. She's probably sleeper more say-so. She's probably sleeper less say-so than she lets on. But I'm willing to concede that she's more say-so than I am. I'm willing to concede that. I have said too much, and you know, there's life experience here. So you know, I'm not gonna contest it overly much. Got to ask though. But we should confirm. I suppose we should confirm rather than make assumptions. How did Chelsea end up the same level as Nunki? I'm not sure. I didn't set this criteria. This is This is Amber Glow management approved Seiso tier list. So I didn't get a say. She's had some questionable books from Japan accidentally intercepted by her parents. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh dear, well it happens, doesn't it? It happens. It happens. Misaki Seiso ranking 1. Misaki says it's Misaki, then me, then Shura, Nunki, Sulan, Terami, Ash. Yeah, that was the original Misaki Seiso rankings. Bottom Ash. Ash is the bottom. I'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Enough said, I think. Enough said. Oh dear me. Oh dear me. Lenny face. Lenny face. You are allowed to kappa. You are allowed to kappa here. Although is kappa an old meme? Because I remember being on Twitch when Twitch Plays Pokemon was ongoing. That was and remains one of the best things that's ever happened on the internet. Twitch Plays Pokemon. I will die. I will die on this hill. But yeah, that was when I was most watching Twitch, I think. I remember sitting in my lab, actually. I was working on this project which was making a map of the sky in radio wavelengths. Yeah, I was making a radio map of the sky, which was a lot of fun. Good project, with a telescope. And yeah, I had Twitch Plays Pokemon on the background, so I was just watching that while working. It was fantastic. It was absolutely great. But yeah, still relevant. Still good. Still good. Okay, we've not forgotten where we came from. We haven't forgotten the face of our father. To quote the Dark Tower. Okay, so with that having been discussed, the updated rankings. Well, actually, yeah. So yeah, question. What do we do now? What do we do now? I think, if you will humour me, let's think and see if we could do a little bit of some programming. Because I've been teaching myself some, what's it called? I've been teaching myself Rust recently. I've got a project that I'm working on, or that I'm looking forward to doing in about 2 weeks that uses Rust. So I've been teaching myself how to use Rust. So if we're just wanting to have a bit of a chill time, a little chill time today, I may just do a little bit of Rust programming. That's cool. So we go to Rust. Not the video game Rust. Not the video game Rust. And please don't share that. That is not the display that I wanted. Cancel that. Cancel that. Next that. Remove that, please. Thank you. It's been so long since I've done programming, I sort of forgot almost everything. Yeah, that's how I felt recently. Because let's see, not display capture, I want window capture. That's it. That could be Rust. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've done any programming in like C++. So it took a bit of a while to get back into things. Let's build that on the screen. Let's move OBS over to here. And am I able to view Visual Studio Code, please? That would be very nice. Cancel. Let's remove. Yes. But yeah, C++, yeah, it was well. My IDs are all in dark mode. I need it to be dark mode. My eyes will bleed otherwise. My eyes would bleed. Why can't I use window capture? I could use display capture. You know what, if I do this? Yeah. You know what, we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do display capture. Okay, actually, maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe that's a bad idea. Can I please just do window capture? There we go. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. Right, let's resize this. Let's resize this. Here we go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Get that on the right layer. And transition. Lovely. So this is, yeah, dark code. Dark code is superior. Hey, Lexicuro, thank you for dropping by. You missed my discussion of nuts. You missed it. Understandable though, understandable. But yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm going to be doing a bit of work on learning Rust, because this has been the project that I've been working on lately. I'm planning on using the, oh no, what's it called again? It's called the Ether engine. If you may have heard about it. An article was written about it last year, about it being used in Minecraft for being able to host thousands of players all on the same server at once, and also for EVE Online for hosting a really massive project. I think, what was the numbers on it actually? It was something like several thousands of players all playing in the same world. I think it was developed by like 8 people in about 2 weeks. So these are people that know what they're doing. They're people that know what they're doing with they know what they're doing with the software that they're working with the game that they're basing things on. But yeah, a small team was able to basically remake a more powerful and effective version of their game using this stuff. This seems like the kind of software that's going to be very, very useful and very, very interesting. Nut variable. That is not nut variable. It is mute. It's mutable. It's mutable variable. So I've done a bunch of different languages. This is, well, so the Ether engine. It just seems super cool. It seems super cool. I think it's going to be really, really valuable in making massively multiplayer games in future. And those kinds of games, while I don't have much experience when it comes to networking, I want to gain that experience. I want that experience. And the best way to get that experience is to throw myself into it. This kind of thing here is going to be the very thing that makes these kinds of games relevant going into the future years. Like in 10 years time, I would guess, maybe not even in 10 years time, in 5 years time, this software is going to be used to make a huge number of online virtual experiences. And I want to get in there. I want to get in there. I want to learn this stuff. I'd say it feels, Rust feels kind of like a mix between C++ and, oh, what's it called? C++ and maybe a little bit like Java, a little bit like JavaScript. Although I've not done very much of that myself. But yeah, so we're gonna see what's going on here. I'm very much in the learning phases. I spent last week learning C++, and now I'm diving into an entirely new language. So there's gonna be a lot of comments, okay? There's gonna be a lot of comments. So we're gonna work on this. Can I zoom this in at all? Make this a bit easier to read. Can you read that okay? That's my question. Clearly you can't read nut. You can't read mute. You can read nut, but you can't read mute. So yeah, a couple of interesting things about this language so far. A couple of interesting things. There's multiple ways to build it. So there's, let's see, have I... Untitled word space, that's fine. Hello cargo. So we can have a little look at this. So yeah, you go between using terminal and you go between using the source files, the RS files. So you create a new project automatically using cargo, which is built along with Rust. So you just run cargo new project name, and it'll create a new project in the file location. CD to that project name, and you've got a config file in the main folder, and then in the source folder you've then got the main file. And then once you've written the main file, and you've got whatever function in here, it's just the hello world function, you can build it by creating, well, you can use build to create an executable file, and then you can run it by going into the target, debug, and then the file name, or the project name, and that will run it as an executable file. You can also use cargo run, and that builds the source code into the executable and runs it all in one go, which is nice and convenient. If you're in the middle of development, you want to do a bunch of checks to make sure that it compiles okay, you run cargo check, so it makes sure that it does compile, but it doesn't produce the executable file, so it's a lot faster. And then if you're ready to release, or you want to upload, if you want to create a new version for upload or for general use, you can use build release, and it'll build a version that runs faster but takes longer to compile. It saves a lot of time when you're developing. It saves a lot of time as you're developing. And these are features. Well, building the executable file, that's completely fine. Running it, that's okay. But yeah, I don't know, it just seems quite nice to me. Like, I'd imagine cargo run is probably similar just to, running the program. It's probably nothing really fancy, but being able to get your hands on it, getting your hands into it, and really seeing how the software works, I just really like this. It's an aspect of programming that I've not seen in these exact terms before. So I'm having some fun working with it. I quite like it. I'm quite enjoying it so far. So that's just the config file there. Currently reading about the Ether engine. Yes, the Ether engine. I think it's really cool. It's got me sold. It's had me sold on this for a year. I'm not kidding. I've sent these guys so many emails saying, hey, can I get access? Hey, can I have access? Hey, can I have access? But yeah, with it going into alpha, it looks like I am going to be being contacted. I signed up for it again recently just to confirm that I was getting it, and I did get an email saying, actually, I can read a little bit of the email just here. ADN team, congratulations, you've signed up. And it says, with alpha launch due on the 14th of September, you'll receive an email with links to install. You can also join our Discord servers, reach out to our developers with questions and feedback, although it might be a bit quiet in the lead up to launch, that's fair. So you can run the applications locally, install managed applications from the marketplace on Azure. Oh great, I'm going to have to learn how Azure works, aren't I? And get access to exciting demos of Hadean applications. So yeah, load of interesting stuff. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this week's going to be spent like getting familiar with Rust and learning how that works. And then I think the week after, I'm going to double down on C++. I'm going to work on a C++ project. Or rather, I'm going to continue working on my C++ project. And then the week after will be when this runs out. Not when it runs out, rather, when Ether Engine is made available. And if I have access to it, I will work on learning how it works. So that's what we're going to do. That's my plan for the next couple of weeks as far as my programming is concerned. But yeah, so we're going to continue on with the example that I was working through just now. So, yep. So this is just a little function to do like a kind of guess the number question. Yeah, guess the number. So you got print line, exclamation point, which is an interesting to have an exclamation point in the function name. But it's interesting anyway. using the IO library. And then, so this is basically all just one line. This is basically one line. You can just take a new line whenever you do a dot function. You can just take a new line and it, you know, ignores the white space. So what happens here is it gets ready with input, so it looks for the input, it reads the line of the input and stores it as the pointer to the variable guess, which is mutable, and it's an empty string. And then what happens here is if there's an error, so if readLine returns a result, well, readLine returns a result, so it'd basically be a 1 or a 0, in this case it's an OK or error. So if it comes up with an error, that means that it's not been able to read the line and there's been a problem. And then this line just handles the failure. It's basically the exception goes on here. And then this line just basically handles saying what the guess was. So that's nice. So this means, let's see, expect, if it returns that, expect will cause the program to crash and display the message. Error is caught by expect, causes the program to crash and returns let's see, does it return it or does it just print the value? Let's see, where's it going? My result, crash, and displays the message. And displays the message. Good to see, good to see. And then you guessed whatever this is. Okay, so if you don't call expect, the program will compile, but you'll get a warning. So compiling guessing game, warning, unused result that must be used. So yeah, if you don't put in the expect section, it'll come up with a warning. Let's test this actually, and yeah, let's give that a test actually. So let's close that, and we'll comment this line out. So we've got a little underline warning here. It says, yeah, warn unused must use on default. No result that must be used. Right, so because it's not returning a result, it would give us an error, basically. So it does really want us to be putting in the expect to handle the result. That's quite nice. I like it when the language forces me to do something. I quite like that, because I can sometimes be a bit lazy when programming. I'm not going to deny, I can be a bit lazy when programming. So the program hasn't handled a possible error. The right way to suppress the warning is to actually write error handling, but because you just want to crash this program when a problem occurs, you can use expect. Okay, you'll learn about recovering from errors in chapter 9. I'm on chapter 2, so we've got a bit of a way to go, but you know what, that's fine. Printing variables with the print line exclamation point placeholders, so that would be this line. So you guessed curly brackets, and then what follows afterwards here, guess, would then appear in place of those curly brackets. So if we run this, cargo run, it builds, guess the number, please input your guess, let's guess 5. So we run, you guessed 5. Excellent, so it does work. It is working. Cargo run, that's fine, input number, the first part of the game is done, we're getting input from the keyboard and then printing it. Lovely, lovely. Generating a secret number. Ooh, we get to use random. Oh, I'm a big fan of random numbers. I love random numbers. When I was young, we're going off on a tangent here. We should be programming, but we're in tangent mode. I think it was my early teens, maybe, when I was first introduced to Warhammer 40k. And, you know, the lore was kind of here or there. I could take it or leave it, to be very honest. But what really got me interested was the sheer number of dice that get rolled. I just fell in love with the idea of rolling that many dice. So what I did after my first exposure, I got home and I spent all day running through every single board game in the house to collect all the dice. So I still have, actually where is it? I have it within arm's reach of my desk. Within arm's reach of my desk. I have a Magic the Gathering card box full of dice. I still have them all together. And I still get them occasionally as presents, actually. I've got a couple of fancy sets, I've got a couple of nice sets, I've got a couple of rare dice, I've got a 100-sided die, actually. It's like a ball. It's like a ball with all the numbers on it. I love my dice. I absolutely love my dice. So yeah, 40k was my first exposure to the joy of having not enough dice. No matter how many dice you have, it is not enough. And that was my first exposure. And then I discovered that tabletop RPGs were a thing. And yeah, when I got to see 4-sided dice, 8-sided dice, 10-sided dice, 12-sided dice, 20-sided dice. Oh, I was in love. I was in love. So yeah, for more than half of my life, certainly, I have had a deep love for randomness. I've had a love for statistics. I've had a lot of love for statistics and random numbers. Card systems as well. But dice definitely my first love. But cards are good. Which begs the question: what question is it that is being begged, Drazric? Or Drazaric? I do beg to ask what the question is. How many sides can a dice get until it gets to be a ball? Ooh, now that's kind of a how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. It depends on the size of the dice, really. Like, if a die is bigger than a certain size, then is it practical to actually use? I think the real limit on how many faces there can be on a die would be an engineering question, actually. Because the die needs to be made of something sturdy enough that when it is thrown, it doesn't deform. That's important. Because if the die deforms when you throw it, like if you made it out of gold, for example, and you had a gold ball the size of like a car, if you were to roll that, it would start smushing. It would be practically like jelly because of how big it is and the forces involved. That would not be very good. So you need to take into account what the die itself is made of. You'd also need to take care of what you were rolling the die on. Because if you had a very heavy die, say for the sake of argument it was made of lead. It was like a very large, very stable lead ball, and you rolled that on wood, then odds are one of the points of the die would just end up digging into the wood, and it wouldn't be face up. It wouldn't be evenly faced up, so that wouldn't be very good at all. So the question of how many sides a die can get until it gets to be a ball, that's definitely an engineering question. But my D100, it does have 100 faces, and it is close enough to being a ball. I don't think you could get very much bigger without having to get really, really precise. I think I have heard of bigger dice, like probably 1,000-sided die. I think I've heard of those working, but yeah, I'd be questioning it. It's an engineering question, I'd say. What's the best anime intro? Ooh, there's a lot of good ones. If we're talking just the intro to the anime itself, like just the TV size version of the song and the animation, there's some really good ones. The first OP for Kobayashi-san's Dragon Maid is absolutely fantastic. I can't watch that and not have a stupidly wide grin on my face. It's so good. Colors from Code Geass The first Code Geass OP is absolutely fantastic. Did you know you can hear someone cough in that song? I didn't know that, actually. But what I did know is that you can hear a dog barking during the track of Adele's Rolling in the Deep. You can hear a dog barking in it. Basic research points me to an existing spherical die. Yeah, but how does a spherical die work? How do you know what's on the top? How many faces can a spherical die have? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could just paint the numbers on a spherical die, roll it, wait until it lands in a little cup, like on a roulette wheel, and then just read whatever number's closest to the top. That could work. Yeah, pretty much. If you scale the die up, it's easier to tell what side it landed on. That's true. That is true. That is true, but even then, it's just the engineering issue as well. Can you make a die that's that precise, that all of the faces are the same size, or they have an equal area chance of it being that face? If you're talking about having millions or billions of faces or numbers on a spherical die, can you, like, eventually you're getting into quantum problems. Depending on how small you go, what is the difference between one face and a neighbouring face? How sure can you be that a certain face is on the top? Are we getting into the statistical mechanics of dice rolling here? Quantum statistical dynamical dice rolling. That could be fun, actually. maybe that could be a simulation at some point. We'll see. Right, okay, we're doing randomness. We're doing randomness in Rust now, okay? Note for future me, send up Orby dice. Freaking personal note for yourself. Make a note for me. Let's see, this is the 29th. 29, 8, 21, Orby dice. This is cool. Okay, thank you for pointing me in that direction. Make an RNG in the shape of a die and put it on whatever range you want. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. If you were using a random number generator, you would be limited only by the size of the type of data that you're using. If you're using a float, I think it's normally is it not normally an 8-bit integer? And then if it's, or is it 16? I forget. It's been a while since I've looked at floating point variables, doubles, and stuff like that. But yeah, memory stuff. Not using ISO date, unsubbed and unfollowed. Wait, ISO date? Where? Where's this? Allow me to rectify this. Not using... Where is it? If you have more memory, you can do double floats. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So you're only limited by the number of bits in your float. That'd be it. On my memo. My memo. My memo? Where are you? I can't see it. Not using ISO date. It's got to be here somewhere. Can't see it though. That in my comments when I wrote down about the Orbidice. Ah, yeah. I did it by hand. I didn't type it down. I wrote down on a sheet of paper I have in front of me. That's what I do. Right, okay, we're getting back on topic, people. We're getting back on topic. We're using randomness, okay? We're using randomness. This is cargo. This is going to be... Let's just close that to be sure. Do we want to save changes in main? You know what, save. And we'll save here too. We're going to open... That's in hello cargo. Guessing game. Cargo Tomo. There we are. So dependencies, we are going to use... rand equals 0. That's 0.8.3. Okay, that's not an point. That's not an exclamation point, thank you. So there we are. We're using crate. Remember that a crate is a collection of Rust code files, okay? The project we've been building is a binary crate, which is an executable. This is a tutorial on the Rust language website, by the way. I'm using Rust's own examples here. So if you do want to check them out, by all means check them out. I'm just going to be reciting them here. Let's see. The project we've been building is a binary crate, which is an executable. The random crate is a library crate which creates code intended to be used in other programs, okay? Cargo's use of external crates is where it really shines. Before we can write code that uses rand, we need to modify the cargo.toml file to include the rand crate as a dependency. Okay, we've done that. And under dependencies, lovely, lovely. Be sure to specify rand exactly as we have here, or the code examples in this tutorial may not work. In the cargo.toml file, everything that follows a header is a part of the section that continues until another section starts, just like a regular config file. Just watch Dragon Maid intro, it's very ulu. Yeah, there's been times where I've been walking down the town, like I've been walking along the street, listening to this, playing in my ear, and I just have a grin from ear to ear, like I'm smiling so much listening to it. It's just so happy, so chirpy cheery, animation's gorgeous, it's just great. It's just absolutely great. Lovely. But yeah, no, Dragon Maid intro is very good. It's very good. Getting back to the real issue. Yes. So, okay, so dependencies specifies semantic version specifier 0.8.3. So it will look at shorthand for look for hats in 0.8.3, which means any version that is at least 0.8.3 but below 0.9.0. Cargo considers these versions to have public APIs compatible with version 0.8.3, and this specification ensures that you'll get the latest patch release that will still compile with the code in this chapter. That's good. Any version 0.9.0 or greater is not guaranteed to have the same API as what the following examples use. Good to know. What am I making? I am learning Rust. I'm just working through the tutorials to learn Rust. What we're doing here is basically making a little number guessing game where the game generates a random number and you've got to try and guess what that number is. That's the example that we're following here. This is my first exposure to Rust and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm enjoying it. And I'm actually looking to use it in a project using the Ether engine from Adian, which is coming out next month. I'm hoping to learn enough to be able to put it into a project. Hopefully so. At the very least, I want to learn how it works. At the very least, I want to know how it works. It's fun. It's fun. So that's what we're up to. So without changing any of the code, let's build the project as shown in listing 2.2, okay? So what we're going to do, we're just going to do cargo build. And it runs and it compiles. CFGF, PvP, get random, rand core, rand chacha. I thought that said rand gacha for a second there. But hey, we got rand chacha. Interesting. Guessing game compiled. Lovely. Okay, so that's good. We see different version numbers. Looks like we got rand 0.8.4 instead of 0.8.3, so that's fine. This is fairly recent after all. Let's see, thanks to some very different lines depending on the operating system, and the lines may be in a different order. Now that we have an external dependency, Cargo fetches the latest versions of everything from the registry, which is a copy of data from crates.io, where people in the Rust ecosystem post their own open source Rust projects for others to use. That's quite good. That's quite good, because a problem that I had when I was using C++, I had to install a linear algebra library because I was wanting to work with matrices for graphs. And it was a bit of a headache making sure that I had the library installed and working properly. That was a bit of a hassle. So just being able to go into the configuration file saying, hey, I want to use this library, and then the programming language looking up that library automatically, that's convenient. I like it. I like it. Hey, you know what, Rust? Hey, Rust, reach out to me. Reach out to me. I can do an advertised stream for you. I can do a tutorial stream with you. I'd be up for that. I love this. I like it. I like it. I like working with it. Let's see. Inuyashiki is the best intro. Inuyashiki. Let's see that. The manga series. Oh. Not actually seen Inuyashiki or read it. Oh, that one. Yeah. Yeah. Where the guy has a mechanical body. Yeah, and he becomes basically a superhero. Yeah, I've heard this kind of concept before. I didn't know. Well, I knew it had an anime, but I've not actually seen it. But yeah, very cool. Okay, maybe I'll check out that intro later. It's a series that I'm aware of, but not something that I've checked out myself. I did read. Oh, I think my webcam's disconnected. Thank you, webcam. Let's just restart that. Come on, behave yourself. Behave yourself, please. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna move over to back soon's scene here. We'll get this fixed up. What's going on? What's going on? Come on. Come on, behave yourself. Behave yourself, webcam. Behave yourself, please. Right, so let's see. Connecting to my computer, thank you. Trapped in another world, but it's the same world just 1 second later. That's real life. That's just real life. We are constantly becoming new people from the person that we spoke with just moments before, or the person that we were moments before. Come on, why are you not playing? Why are you not playing? What's going on? You having a bad day? You having a bad day? Webcam software? Thank you for being with me, people. I don't know why it's just disconnected. No, I did not want to take a screenshot. Right, try a phone restart. We'll try a restart. Don't know why. Some things that will work for days with no problems, and then all of a sudden, boom. You know what? It's the EN VTuber curse. I think it gets everyone. It gets everyone, really. You just can't handle how good the Inuyashiki intro is. That's true. That's true. I have not been able to handle it yet. But soon. I'll give it a watch later. Connecting to computer. And the app crashed. Don't tell me I need to restart my computer. That would not be fun. What's going on? Is it my internet? Is my internet playing up? No? That's fine. The stream's still up after all. Close some apps. Close some apps. Try again. Connected. PC's recognizing it. Is the app recognizing the PC? Dear. This happened the other day. Shortly after my Fallout 3 stream last week. For some reason my app wasn't connecting. So that's annoying. I think we will be going to animated PNG tuber today. Where did web come from? Where did web go? Where did web come from? Cotton Eye Joe. Spam this potato. Yes. Web come and web go. Yeah, no. Okay, we're going to be going to practically PNG tuber today. Sounds like the last week wasn't the last week. Right, we're doing PNG tuber. I can still animate my mouth, but I'm gonna be a bit stiff today. We'll chalk it up to my muscles from overexerting myself yesterday. Okay, that's what the explanation is here. Right, we're gonna keep programming though. I'm not beaten yet. And yeah, the troubleshooting link just takes me to the website, which is useless. Yep, peak muscle efficiency. Exactly. Right, so we've done the build. If we open up source main, that's trivial. Yep. Checks dependencies and downloads any crates you don't have. That's good. So it does it all automatically. Oh, that's just beautiful to me. Where I just have to tell it, hey, I want to use this package, and it downloads it. That's just nice. That is absolutely fantastic. I love seeing that. Let's see. Rust then compiles them and compiles a project with the dependencies available. You immediately run cargo build again without making any changes. You don't get any output aside from the finish line. Cargo knows it has already downloaded and compiled the dependencies, and you haven't changed anything about them in your cargo.toml file. Cargo also knows you haven't changed anything about your code, so it doesn't recompile that either. With nothing to do, it simply exits. If you open up the source mail.rs main.rs file, make a trivial change and then save it and build again, you'll only see 2 lines of output. Let's confirm that. Let's just make 1 new line and then we'll compile. Cargo build. Yeah, 2 lines and that's us. 4.6 seconds to compile, that's nice. Okay. They show cargo only updates the build with your tiny change in the source/main.rs file. Your dependencies haven't changed, so cargo knows it can reuse what it was already downloaded and compiled for those. It just rebuilds your part of the code. Very convenient! This is convenient! Convenience in programming. This is what I like. No hassle, no installing weird anythings. If Rust has as much support as I think it does, it's going to be an absolute pleasure to be building a project in. It's going to be a pleasure to build a project in it. Okay, ensuring reproducible builds with cargo.lock file. Cargo is a mechanism ensuring you can rebuild the same artifact every time you or anyone else builds your code. Cargo will only use the versions of the dependencies you specified until you indicate otherwise. For example, what happens if next week version 0.8.4 of the RAND crate comes out and contains an important bug fix, but also contains a regression that will break your code? Yes, Jojo does do quite a lot with her intros. I've not watched a lot of Jojo. I think I got like halfway through part 2, to be honest, and then life caught up with me and I ended up dropping it for a time. But you cannot deny that the intros have energy. The first one is absolutely fantastic. The answer to the problem is the cargo.lock file, which was created the first time you ran cargo build and is now in your guessing game directory. Let's see. Yeah, it's in your guessing game directory. When you build a project for the first time, Cargo figures out all the versions of the dependencies that fit the criteria, and then writes them to the cargo.lock file. When you build your project in future, Cargo will see that the cargo.lock file exists and use the versions specified there, rather than doing all the work figuring out versions again. This lets you have a reproducible build automatically. In other words, your project will remain at 0.8.3 until you explicitly upgrade thanks to the cargo.log file. Well, that is also convenient. That is also convenient. Let's see, I'm just going to update the stream title and stuff. Update this. We're going to go to Learning Rust. Programming. Just programming. Got a lot of programming options. Coding? Coding for carrots. Weird. Category Rust. Not that Rust. Leave it in just chatting, I suppose, eh? Lovely. Rust. Programming. Lovely. There we go. There we go. There we go. Not the energy, they foreshadow things, literally scenes ahead, and depending on how story goes, the intros change, revealing plot twists. The intros have plot twists, fascinating. Maybe looking at this code at this ungodly hour wasn't the best of ideas. It's Mal's stream. Well, thank you for bearing with it. Thank you for bearing with it, Drazeric. I do appreciate it. I definitely should have spent quite as long being awake last night. Instead of streaming for 5 hours, I should have had an early night. I'm not gonna deny. I'm not gonna deny. So if you need to rest, go rest. You deserve it. You deserve it. But hey, if you're comfortable here, if you're having a good time, that's all good. Let's see. When you do want to update a crate, Cargo provides another command update, which will ignore the cargo.log file, figure out all the latest versions that fit your specifications in cargo.toml. If that works, Cargo will write those versions to the cargo.log file. We'll only look for versions greater than what you specified and less than the next version. If the RAND crate has released 2 new versions, 0.8.4 and 0.9, you would see the following if you ran cargo update. So it would say, okay, so it would say updating crates.io index, updating RAND 0.8.3 to 0.8.4. Okay, so let's see. In command line run cargo update to update versions of dependencies. Cool. At this point, you would also notice a change in your cargo.lock file that the version of RAND rate you're using is now 0.8.4. Okay. If you want to use RAND version 0.9.0 or any version in the 0.9.x series, you'd have to update the cargo.toml file to look like this, which would be dependencies RAND equals 0.9.0. Okay. Let's see. To use RAND version 0.9.x would need to change dependency lovely. We're learning a lot here. Next time you run cargo build, cargo will update and then run. then run cargo build. Cool. So if you do need to change the full version, the release version, rather than just the 0.8 update, if you have to go to 0.9, you just have to run cargo build after changing the dependency. That is that's actually, again, really convenient. I am blown away by how convenient this language is. Right, now we're getting onto the good stuff. Now we're getting onto the good stuff. It says there's going to be more about that in the cargo ecosystem in chapter 14, but we're not touching that just yet. Generating a random number. We're finally rolling some dice here, people. Who wants to play craps? Okay, so we're going to update these lines here. So guess the number. It's a print macro, yes. So we're going to go let secret number be random. Oh, we need to use rand as well, don't we? That's let, not lat. Can't type today. Let's use standard IO. We also need to do use, let's see, rand.rng. Rand double colon RNG. And inline. So that is rand red underscore RNG. Generated in range from 1 to 101. End line. Okay, so that is random number, unused variable. Well, that's fine, we're going to use it soon. Okay, so we'll look through this. Okay, so it's just this line that we're adding here. So let's add some comments. So, up here, got use random RNG. That's gonna import the random. Let's see, RNG trait defines methods that random number generators implement. And this trait must be in scope for users' methods. Okay. Okay, so that imports RNG library, I suppose. So that's going to be the RNG library. This may not be the right word for it, but it gets the idea across. I suppose they're called, what are they called? Crates. That's the RNG crate, technically. Or crate. I'm used to working with Python and other languages. They call them libraries. I suppose they just call them crates here. But that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so lines in the middle. 2 lines in the middle. Really? Was it 2? The random thread RNG function. Let's put this in the middle. So have another line there. And you know what? Let's put this on a line 2. There we are. So, gives us a particular random number generator that we're going to use. Gives us the random number generator we're going to use. And this kind of defines the range. So it takes the random, it takes a range rather, takes a range expression, generates a random number and range. Cool. Okay, quite happy with this. The general range method takes a range expression as an argument and generates a random number. The kind of range expression we're using here takes the form start ... end. It's inclusive on the lower bound but exclusive on the upper bound. So we need to specify 1.101 to request a number between 1 and 100. Alternatively, we could pass the range 1 ... equals 100, which is equivalent. So let's see. Have int to. Let's just look at this. Dot equals 100. Good to know. Good to know. You won't just know which traits to use and which methods and functions to call from a crate. Instructions for using a crate are in each crate's documentation. Another neat feature of Cargo is it can use the cargo doc -- open command, which will build documentation provided by all your dependencies locally and open it in your browser. Ooh, so you can just conveniently open all your documentation in one place? This is nice. This language feels. I feel like I'm getting a hug from this language, to be honest. This is nice. Let's give that a try. Actually, if you're interested in other functionality in the rand crate, for example, run cargo doc -- open and click rand in the sidebar on the left. Let's give that a try. So cargo doc -- open, checking a bunch of documents. And how do I want to open this file? Let's open it in Google Chrome. Why not? And holy crap. Okay, I'm not going to put it on screen, but yeah, it's created what seems like a custom HTML page. And it says create guessing game, which is the program that I'm making here. And it's got a list of all the details on it. It's got the Rust logo, lets you search what crates are here. It has a list on what functions are in your program, so you can look at every individual function. And it even tells you what they do if you click on them. If I look at rand, and yeah, here's now the description of how to use the random function. All the modules, how it handles errors, the traits it has, the function it can use, random thread RNG, generates a random value using the thread local random number generator. That's really cool. That's really cool and that's really efficient, and I like this a lot. It just feels like the user convenience is a real priority with it. That's really cool. That's really cool. I like this. Okay, the second line we added to the middle code prints the secret number. Okay, where is... Okay, yeah, so they've added the line after it's been generated and then asks you to make the guess. I suppose that's quite good because it lets you do the testing. So yeah. So we're going to go here. So that's print line exclamation point open bracket. The secret number is, and then curly brackets, outside we do comma and secret number. Okay, and line. There we are. So now that will tell us what the secret number is, and we'll be able to move on to testing whether the guess that we make matches up with the secret number, and then whether it returns the right output. We've not written that code yet, but we will get to it. We will get to it. Okay, yeah, useful while we're developing the program to test it, but we'll delete it from the final version. Try running the program a few times. Okay, let's go. Cargo run. So please input your guess. Let's go for 3. Did I not save? Did I forget to save? I think I forgot to save. Save it. And run it again. So yeah, the secret number is 73. That's cool. So let's do 37. Just says that I guessed 37. That's fine. Let's run it again. Guess is 88. If I type in 88, it just says guessed 88. Okay, so now we're going to get to look at the comparisons. And yes, they are numbers between 1 and 100. The random number generator, something that I love having ready and able to use, is all working fine. That's great. So, comparing the guess to the secret number. Now that we have user input and a random number, we can compare them. That step is shown in listing 2.4. Note that this code won't compile quite yet, as we will explain. Okay. So it looks like we need to add some lines. That's going to be fun. So, we're going to type use, colon, standard, colon, CMP, ordering. And we'll go and write some comments on that in a minute. And it's just coming up with complaining because it's not been used. That's fine. We're going to fix it. So main, you guessed whatever. Okay, so now down here, after the input-output section, actually that shouldn't be there. That can go. So here, we're going to go match guess dot CMP, that would be compare, and then ampersand. I know it's not actually an ampersand, but hey, that says it's a reference to the variable secret number. So rather than typing in secret number here again and having a completely separate memory, the secret number being held in another memory spot, we can just say, nope, we're just going to refer to the existing one. Just point at where that's stored in memory. So that's good. Secret number, and let's include the conditions here. It seems to be complaining about secret number for some reason. Is it just because it's not finished? Expected structure string and found an integer. Ah, so that's why it'll be complaining, because it's being a string. But that's okay, we're going to type out the rest of it and then we'll follow along and we'll get this fixed out. So ordering, colon, less. So if the number is less than this value, that means we do greater than or equal to, not greater than or equal to. It's not a mathematical operator, it says what to do in the case of ordering less. So in that case we print line, and we say too small. And then line, and ordering greater. What we do, if we take the right characters, that would be great. Print line, and this is too big. And we're going to Goldilocks, or we're going to do Goldilocks. Ordering equal. In which case, oh, we don't do a Goldilocks. I'm disappointed. Because the output that we put down here is you win. Not just right. I'm disappointed. I'm actually physically disappointed. Okay, so that's gonna now complain. That's gonna complain. So first new bit is another use statement, which scopes from standard library. Like result, ordering is another enum, but the variants for ordering are less, greater, and equal. These are the three outcomes that are possible when you compare new values. Okay. So this imports. Well, it doesn't import, it just makes it easier to use. So you don't need to type out this whole standard. Actually, that doesn't do it, does it? But it just saves you from typing standard compare ordering every time that you're down here. It just means that you don't need to type standard compare ordering. You just type ordering, and then you can use the variant for ordering as required. It's like using a namespace in C++. That's more what this is like, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like using a namespace. So that allows use of ordering. Okay, I think that's a bit better than saying imports. It's more like more like namespaces. More like namespaces than inputs. Dot. Kind of. We'll get there though, we'll get there. Hey, we're learning. This is chapter 2. I've got 14 chapters before I get onto the really fun stuff. Let's see. These are the 3 outputs that are possible. We'll now add 5 new lines at the bottom that use ordering type. That's these ones, I think. The compare method compares 2 values and can be called on anything that can be compared. It takes a reference to whatever you want to compare with. Here it's comparing the guess to the secret number. It then returns a variant of the ordering enum we brought into scope with the use statement. We use a match expression to decide what to do next based on which variant of ordering was returned from the call to compare with the values and guess and secret number. Match expression is made of arms. Arm consists of a pattern and the code that should be run if the value given to the beginning of the match expression fits that arm's pattern. So Rust takes the value given to match and looks for each arm's pattern and return. So these are all arms. And the pattern that ordering is less, it then runs this code. If the pattern is greater, it runs this code, and so on and so forth. Let's see, the match construct and patterns are powerful features in Rust that let you express a variety of situations your code might encounter and make sure that you handle them all. These features will be covered in detail in Chapter 6 and Chapter 18 respectively. Good to know. Why we can't just use Boolean expressions. I mean, I suppose this is kind of a Boolean expression, but, you know, we'll get there. I think arms might be a bit more convenient to use than a bool. So we'll see. Maybe it's better form. But we'll trust them. We'll trust them here. Plus, I don't know how to use a bool yet in Rust. I don't know how to use a bool. So we'll see how this goes. Let's walk through an example of what would happen with the match expression used here. Say the user's guessed 50 and the randomly generated secret number this time is 38. When the code compares 50 to 38, the compare method will return ordering greater because 50 is greater than 38. The match expression gets ordering greater value and starts checking each arm's pattern. It looks at the first arm's pattern, ordering less, and sees the value ordering greater does not match ordering less. So it ignores the code in that arm and moves to the next arm. The next arm's pattern ordering greater does match ordering greater. The associated code in that arm will execute and do big to the screen. The match expression ends because it has no need to look at the last arm in this scenario. Note for Mal, learn how to use bool in Rust. Yes, this is a necessary thing. But yes, as I expected, it won't compile yet. Because, yeah, over here it says note expected reference string found reference integer. So it's comparing a string to an integer. That's a string of characters to an integer, which is just a number. So yeah, that just throws an error. They are mismatch type. Rust has a strong static type system. However, it also has type inference. Ooh, that's nice. When we wrote let mutable guess equals string new, Rust was able to infer that guess should be a string and didn't make us use that type, make us write the type. The secret number, on the other hand, is a number type. A few number types have a value between 1 and 100, I32 a 30-bit number, U32 an unsigned 32-bit number, I64 a 64-bit number, as well as others. Rust defaults to an I32, which is a type of secret number, the type of secret number, unless you add type information elsewhere that would cause Rust to infer a different numerical type. The reason for the error is that Rust cannot compare a string and a number type. Yeah, as I said. So we want to convert the string the program reads into as an input into a real number so that we can compare it numerically to the secret number. We can do that by adding another line to the main function body. Okay. So, where do we put this? So after the failed to read lines, that's after this, right here, and before you guessed. we say let guess colon U32. So we're saying that this is going to be a U32, which is an unsigned 32-bit integer. We say guess dot trim dot parse dot expect, and then in here please type a number. That's pretty good. I quite like that actually. So we've got guess, we then trim, parse, and then we have the expect, handle any errors. So variable creates variable named guess. Which is an unsigned integer. Then we've got a trim method. So the guess in the expression refers to the original guess. It was a string. Trim on a string will eliminates any white space at the beginning and end. Although U32 can only contain numerical characters, the user must press enter to satisfy read line, which is a new line character. When the user presses enter, a new line character is added to the string. For example, if the user takes 5 and presses enter, guess looks like this: 5/n. The /n represents new line. The result of pressing enter. Trim method eliminates the new line. Okay, so it's just 5. Then the parse method. So this trims white space and new line, tab, etc. Parse. On strings, parses a string into some kind of number. That's really convenient. That saves a lot of hassle. Because this method can parse a variety of number types, we need to tell Rust the exact number type we want by using let guess U32. The colon after guess tells Rust to annotate the variable's type. So yeah, that says creates variable named guess, which has an unsigned 32-bit integer. That's good. It's a good default choice for a small positive number, that's true. We will learn about other number types in chapter 3, so that'll probably be where we get other number types and possibly boolean values, so that'll be nice. Additionally, the U32 annotation in this example program and the comparison with secret number means that Rust will infer that secret number should be a U32 as well. So now the comparison will be between two values of the same type. Nice and convenient. So converts string into the appropriate number type, which is U32. And then this just carries the exception. So the parse method returns a result much as the readline method does earlier. We'll treat this result the same way by using the expect method again. So that's handles potential error with parse. For example, if non-numerical character were entered. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with comments. I'm very heavy on comments right now because I am learning. I can be quite lazy with comments at times. I can be quite lazy with comments, so definitely better to go overboard on comments. And speaking of which, I didn't put any comments down here, so maybe let's go back and double check that. So yeah, here we go. So match expression. Match expression. Or comparing cases. Arm 1, or arm 0 rather. Is secret where less than the guess? Oh, no, is guess less than secret number. That's it. That should probably do. And then it compares cases. I don't need to take it for it all. Better to instruct your future self on your code than not at all. Exactly. Exactly. Because, by my own admission, I am going to be taking, well, I'm going to be taking a week where I'm going to be learning Rust. And then I'm going to take a week out, and we're going to be going back to some C++, probably. Because I want to do a little quick project in C++. And yeah, I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to have no idea what I was doing. So I think that should do. Yeah, so that's all fine. I'm fairly content with this for now. Fairly content with this for now. So where are we? Where are we? Here we are. That's all done. So now that we've converted it from a string to a 32-bit unsigned integer, let's go back down here. We're going to go cargo run. Compiles. It tells us the secret number is 78. Let's say it doesn't have a loop just yet, so we're going to say 23, so we're guessing, and that's too small. So that's good. So we can definitely get too small. Run it again, it says 53, let's go for 67, and that's too big, as it should be. Run it one more time, the number is 74, we're going to go for 74, and we get it right, it says we win. Hooray, it does work. Even though spaces were added before the guess. Oh, you can put in spaces before the guess. Let's test that, actually. Should do some more testing. Lots of spaces. Let's do 84. And it still says, I guess, 84, and says too big. I have to run it again, and it's 43, so lots of spaces, 43. It still can tell that it's got 43. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. We guess too low, too high, correctly, with tons of spaces. Good, good, good. Most of the game's working now, but the user can only make one guess. And let's add a loop. We're getting into loops now here, people. We're actually getting into something that can be used to actually make a game. Amazing how much of games is built just on one loop. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so after printing of the secret number, we're going to make it a loop. So the secret number goes here. So this is going to be loop, curly bracket, and then what we're going to do, we're going to copy all this. Rather, we're going to cut it, we're going to place it inside the loop. And it didn't auto-indent, that's kind of annoying actually. Will auto-indent if I do this? There we go, lovely. All indented, very nice. I like my code being indented. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be in Rust, but it's nice to have it indented. I can't deny. Okay, so now it's inside a loop. As you can see, we've moved everything into a loop from the guess input prompt onward. Be sure to indent the lines inside the loop another 4 spaces each and run the program again. Notice there's a new problem because the program is doing exactly what we told it to ask for another guess forever. Doesn't seem like the user can quit. Good, good, good. It's nice. I love pretty code. I love pretty code. So that's the loop. Wait, is it from print line? Ah, right, okay. Gotta move this inside the loop as well. So let's cut that out. That's on... Oh wait, no. I was right. That's inside the loop. So place that back there. And you go back in line there. Good, 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 good. I think indenting is important in this language. I don't think it's as important as it's in Python, but it is very nice. So of course, loop creates a loop. Just creates an endless loop. It's just been told to loop forever. But there's probably a way to break the loop. Probably just type break. So let's save it up and we'll do a run. 65. Okay, so we'll do 34. It runs again. Please input your guess. We know it's 65, so 65, and it says it's right. Let's do 84, and it's too big. 45. Too small. 65. You win. But yeah, it's just going to keep coming up with errors. And then thread main panicked at please type a number because it was empty. Okay, yeah, so you got to type in something. Yeah, or if you type quit, it'll panic because it was invalid. Okay, typing quit actually quits the game, but so will any other non-number input. However, this is suboptimal to say the least. We want the game to automatically stop when the correct number is guessed. Okay, okay, quitting after correct guess. Let's program the game to quit when the user wins by adding a break statement. So it is just as simple as break. So what we do, we go to the match guess section. Let's space these things out. So on print line, so when it's equal, what we do is we go for curly brackets, pick a new line, dot new win, end line, then we type break, end line, curly bracket to end. So now it will go when we're at the end, breaks out of loop. That's quite nice. So you'd literally just type loop and break out of the loop. That's nice. Very good. Okay, let's try this again. So the secret number is 36. So if we say, for example, it's 24, small. If we say it's 54, it's too big. But if we say it's 26, or 36, you win, and the game ends. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Handling invalid inputs. To further refine the game's behaviour, rather than crashing the program when the user inputs a non-number, let's make the game ignore a non-number so the user can continue guessing. We can do that by altering the line where guess is converted from a string to a U32 as shown in listing 2.5. So, let guess U32 equals match guess trim parse. Where's that? That's here. But instead of putting in expect, it looks like what it wants us to do is continue on here. We open bracket, we type OK, num, nope, not there, num, equals, oh, goes to that, and then error, so in case of an error of any kind, we express with a underscore. We just want to continue, and we do bracket there, continue down, end line. That's a nim. That's not a nim, we want a num. Okay, so what's going on here? Expected U32 found enum standard result. Yeah, but that's kind of what it should be doing, shouldn't it? Got parse. Does this need to be back up here? Oh, let's not do that. Okay, how are we looking? Doesn't seem to be too happy. Let's see, expected one of these or an operator. Parse. Let's guess. Hold on, U32 equals. Ah, we want it to be a match. Because we're doing it just like this. We're doing it like this now. So it's got an option now. So, in the case where parse returns OK, then it returns a number. But if it throws an error, it'll just continue. So yeah, we just use another match case. So what we'll do... Let's just make a new line. Do the whole match guess thing down here. Okay, so the guess is now a case thing going up here. Switching from expect call to match expression is how you generally move from crashing on an error to handling the error. Now, handles the error rather than crashing on it. Remember that parse returns a result type and result is an enum that has the variance OK or error. We're using a match expression here as we did with the ordering result of the CMP method. If parse is able to successfully turn a string into a number, it will return an OK value that returns the resulting number. That OK value will match the first arm's pattern, and the match expression will return the num value that parse produced and put it inside the OK value. That number will end up right where we want it in the new guess variable we're creating. If parse is not able to turn the string into a number, it will return an error value that contains more information about the error. The error value does not match the OK num pattern in the first match arm, but it does match the error underscore pattern in the second arm. The underscore is a catch-all value. In this example, we're saying that we want to match all error values no matter what information they have inside them. So the program will execute the second arm's code, continue, which tells the program to go to the next iteration of the loop and ask for another guess. So effectively, the program ignores all errors that parse might encounter. Lovely! You want less guess, U32 equals match guess. Yep, that's it. Thank you! Thank you for the heads up, mechanical hands. Thank you for the heads up. Yes, we are learning Rust here, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I really am. I really am. So now it should run as expected. Now it should run as expected. Here we go. We've got 96. Easy to get lower than 96. Small. Let's go for 100. Too big. Let's go for smash keyboard. I didn't save, did I? No, I didn't. Right, let's run it again. Smash keyboard. It doesn't care. It says, please put your guess in. No, I want to do wrong. That's way too big, isn't it? Yep. So yeah, that's great. So now we don't actually get an error. And if we go for 88, we win. Hooray! All working. Absolutely fantastic. With one final tweak, we'll finish the guessing game. Recall the program is still printing the secret number. That worked well for testing, but ruins the game. Delete print line. That outputs the secret number. That's absolutely fine. I was looking forward to getting rid of this. And at the end, commented out, do not spoil the game. Save and run. So we've got to guess a number. Let's start with 33. is too small. Thank you. So let's start 67. Too big. Okay. So let's go for 50. It's too small. So it's somewhere between 50 and 67. Let's go for 58. It's too small. It's got between 58 and 67. That's 9. Let's go for 64. No, that's it. 64? 64. Too big. Okay. Let's go to 61. It's too small, so it could be 62, 63. 63! Hooray! Hey, we have a working game now, people. We have a working game. It's nothing fancy. It's not going to be the new Overwatch. Or insert popular game here. But it is a game. And hey, it works. It works! So fantastic. Listing 6.2 shows the final code, lovely. And we've successfully built the guessing game. Hooray! So we've got let for declaring variables, match for comparing cases, methods, associated functions, use of external crates, and more indeed. If this game is trash compared to insert popular game here. Thank you, TVPG. It is appreciated. Keep me humble. Give me something to strive for. Give me something to work towards. I am not content with good enough. So, Chapter 3 covers concepts most languages have, variables, data types, functions. Shows how to use them in Rust. Chapter 4 is ownership, a feature that makes Rust different from other languages. Ooh, interesting. This game is so 1980. I think it's older than 1980. I think it's older than 1980. Chapter 5 discusses structs and method syntax. That sounds fun. And 6 is enums. Okay. We're going to go over to Chapter 3. We're going to go over to Chapter 3 as well. Do I need to make... I'm probably going to need to make a new workspace. So that's fine. Let's have a look at what we need to do. So, concepts in every language. None of these concepts are unique to Rust. So maybe I'll be able to skip through these relatively quickly. I won't go into quite as much detail, but yeah. Variables, basic types, functions, comments, control flow. Well, I can do comments, I can declare a function. Control flow, we'll see. Basic types broadly have been covered, but you know, the specifics. This is the complicated part of learning a new language. This is the complicated part. When you've already familiarized yourself with the concept in another language, you don't need to do the mental gymnastics to figure out what is actually happening. The only thing you need to learn is how you use this language to create what you want to see. When I was reviewing C++, after having a lot more experience in Python, I actually found C++ was a lot easier to work with than I originally thought it was, than I did in the past. When I first learned C++, it was off the back of just a couple of months worth of having worked in Python, after not having used any, object-oriented programming. But having came back to it several years later, and being able to actually get to grips with the language quite a bit better. Like I could do object orientation in C++, but just being a lot more familiar with it makes it a lot better. But lifetimes will catch you out. Lifetimes will catch me out. Okay, I'm interested in this. I'm interested in what lifetimes are, but we'll get to that, I'm sure. We'll give it a shot. So, Rust language has keywords reserved for use by language only. That's pretty standard. Cannot use these words as names of variables or functions. Yeah. That's all fine. That's all fine. Bear with me just a moment. Thank you for being with me. So yeah, can't use keywords in Rust. That's fine, I don't care. Variables, mutability. So variables are immutable. We discussed that earlier on. You need to declare whether something is mutable or not. So let's make a new directory here. So we're gonna go cd .. We're gonna go cargo new variables. I've got to say, I really like how Rust works. I like how you just build a new package with absolutely no issue. Like, it's so easy to make a new it's so easy to make a new project in Rust, and it's so easy to use. I'm quite taken with it, actually. So cd variables. There we go. We've got a new variables directory, so what we'll do, we will add folder to workspace, open variables. Do I trust the author? Yes, because it was me. So we're going to go into the main file here. We don't need that. So we're going to declare function main open curly brackets. Let x be equal to 5. Should you trust yourself that much? I trust myself enough. I trust myself enough. I trust myself enough to be able to teach myself some programming. So print line the value of x as brackets and then x. Let's put a little colon in there, that's all good. And now, what we're going to try and do, x equals 6. And print line. This is going to throw an error. I know it's going to throw an error. We may as well just copy this across. This is going to throw a lovely error. I'm going to be happy about that. Yeah, it's already got an underline. It knows it's going to be an error because it's immutable. But we're going to play with that anyway. So what we're going to do, we're going to save. And we're going to say cargo run. And we've got an error. Yes. A lovely big error. Aborting due to previous error. Cannot assign twice to a mutable variable. So yeah, it's just complaining that it's not mutable. But that's fine. We can fix this. All we need to do is go up to the declaration and we say let the mutable variable x be equal to 5. So now the variable is mutable. That will let us change what the value is. So back down to the terminal, cargo run, and we see the value of x is 5, change the value of x to 6. Absolutely lovely. So we now have a mutable variable. X bounds from 5 to 6 when mut is used. Lovely. So sometimes you want to make a variable mutable because it makes the code much more convenient to write than if it only had immutable variables. There's trade-offs to consider in addition to prevention of bugs. For example, in cases where you're using large data structures, mutating an instance in place may be faster than copying and returning newly allocated instances. That's true. The smaller data structures, creating new instances and writing in a more functional programming style may be easier to think through, so lower performance might be worthwhile penalty for gaining that clarity. Okay, that's good to know. Differences between variables and constants. Let's see. So not changing being able to change the value is a constant. Yeah, that's true. You aren't allowed to use mute with constants. Constants aren't immutable by default, they're always immutable. You can declare constants by using the constant keyword instead of the let keyword. And the type of the value must be annotated. We're covering types and annotations in the next section, data types, so don't worry about the details, but you must always annotate the type. Constants can be declared in any scope, including the global scope, which makes them useful for values that many parts of code need to know about. The last difference is that constants may be set only to a constant expression, not the result of a function call or any other value that could only be computed at runtime. Here's an example of a constant declaration where the constant's name is max points and its value is set to 100,000. Cool. And yeah, convention to use all uppercase with underscores between words for constant. And underscores can be inserted in numeric literals to improve readability. Okay, that's quite nice. So we're going to now say const max points is going to be, we're going to declare it's going to be a U32. That's going to be equal to 100,000. There we go. Valid for the entire time a program runs within the scope they were declared in, making them a useful choice for values in your application domain that multiple parts of the program might need to know about, such as the maximum number of points any player of a game is allowed to earn, or the speed of light. Very good to know. Naming hard-coded values used throughout your program as constants is useful in conveying the meaning of that value to future maintainers of the code. It also helps to have only one place in your code where you would need to change if the hard-coded value needed to be updated in future. Absolutely. Shadowing. As you saw in the guessing game tutorial, you can declare a new variable with the same name as a previous variable. Notations say the first variable is shadowed by the second, which means the second variable's value is what appears when the variable is used. We can shadow a variable by using the same variable's name and repeating the use of the let keyword as follows. Okay, so what we're going to do, is there any quick way to comment? No, doesn't load. There may be, but I have not yet found it. So what we're going to do, 000, I'm just going to quick comment this entire line because I don't want to make a new main function. I'm being lazy. I like commenting. So let x be equal to 5. Let x be equal to x plus 1. Let x be equal to x times 2. And now we print line the value of x is colon curly brackets x. Okay, first binds x to value 5, shadowing x by repeating the let statement, or the let declaration rather. There we go. And indeed, so we've got x is 5, x is x plus 1, which is now 6, x is x times 2, which is 12. And so the value of x is 12, and that's exactly what we get. Lovely. So even though these are immutable variables, because we declare x multiple times, the value of x does update every time we do. So if we were to do the previous one, let mut x equals 5, and then we said let x equals 6, then this wouldn't have thrown an error. But because we didn't put let in, it would have complained. But then when we made it mutable, it did let us just say x equals 6, without having to say let every time. So yeah, interesting to have the option. Good, always good to have options. In some cases you may want stuff. Okay, so that's all fine. Shadowing is different from marking a variable as mute, okay? Because we'll get a compile time error if we accidentally try to reassign this variable without using the let keyword. By using let, we can perform a few transformations on a value, but have the variable be immutable after those transformations have been completed. So it is still good to have it in the toolbox. The other difference between mute and shadowing is that because we're effectively creating a new variable when we use the let keyword again, we can change the type of the value but reuse the same name. For example, say our program asks users to show how many spaces they want between some text by inputting space characters. but we really want to store that input as a number. So let's have a look at this example. Let spaces equals a bunch of spaces. I think that's like 3-4 spaces. Let spaces equals spaces.len. Let's copy that across actually. But let's delete this. So we'll copy this section, that, paste it in place. Lovely. So this is allowed because the first spaces variable is a string and the second is a brand new variable that happens to have the same name as the first one and is a number. Shadowing spares us from having to come up with different names such as spaces underscore string and spaces underscore num. Instead, we can reuse simpler spaces name. However, if we try to use mute for this as shown here, we will get a compile time error. So if we say let spaces equal string, and so let's try making this immutable. And we'll say spaces equals length string, save that, and let's run. So yeah, it comes up with an error, could not compile variables. Because we expected the string, and we got new size. So yeah, best not to do that. So that's the case where you wouldn't want to use immutable, even though you're changing. So that's good, good to have the option there. So let's have a look at data types. We'll see how much more we want to do. I feel my voice getting a bit tired. Just a little bit tired. How long is this one? It's not too long, but I probably won't finish it all off. You know, we'll go for maybe another 15 minutes. I think we'll call the stream. So every value is a data type, which tells Rust what kind of data is being specified, so it knows how to work with the data. We have scalars and compound data types. Rust is a statically typed language, meaning we must know the types of all variables at compile time. Compiler can infer what type we want to use based on the value and how we use it. In cases where many times are possible, such as when we converted a string to a numeric type using parse last time, we must add a type annotation like this. So let's just stay. What are we in? We're in variables. That's fine. Just let's just delete those comments because that's all fine. We'll do though. We will cd ... back and cargo new types. CD types. And what's up here? Do we need to... we've got that emphasized. So right click, add folder in workspace, types. Do I trust? Yes, I trust myself. Trust no one, not even yourself. Okay, so the main function, we're going to go let guess u32 equals 42.parse.expect nothing. We don't need to add the type annotation here. Rust will display the following error, which means the compiler needs more information from us to know which type we want to use. Okay, so if we do cargo run, we get hello world because it's not saved. Okay, there we go. So warning emitted. Yes, help. If this is intentional, prefix with underscore guess. Unused variable guess. Okay, so it's just complaining that it's unused. Let guess. That's odd. If we don't add the type annotation here, Rust will display the following error. Yeah, so if we remove this section, let's cut that. Save. And run. Yep, there we are. So it complains because it needs a type annotation. So if we annotate it with a type, Save and run. No complaints, just says it's an unused variable. And if it's intentional, we can prefix it with an underscore. So that's it. That's interesting. Let us see. You'll see different type annotations for other data types. Reasonable. Scalar types. A scalar type represents a single value. Rust has 4 primary scalar types. Integers, which are whole numbers. Floating point numbers, which are floating points, so decimal point numbers. Booleans, true and false. And characters, which are letters and numbers. We recognize these from other programming languages. Let's jump into how they work. In Rust, integer types. 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, 128-bit, and Arch. Let's see. They can be signed with I or unsigned with U and have explicit size. Signed and unsigned sets whether it can be negative. So signed is whether it can be positive, negative, or whether it will only be positive and can be written without a sign. Okay. Signed numbers are stored using 2's complement representation. Each signed variant can store numbers from negative 2n to the power of n minus 1 to 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1 inclusive, where n is the number of bits that the variant uses. So an i8 can store numbers from negative 2 to the 7 to 2 to the 7 minus 1, which is from negative 128 to 127. Unsigned variants can store numbers from 0 to 2 to the power of n minus 1, so a u8 can store numbers from 0 to 2 to the 8 minus 1, which is 0 to 255. Do. Same old integer stuff. Let's see. You can write integer literals in any of the forms in table 3.2. Note all number literals except byte literal allow a type suffix such as 57u8, and underscore is a visual separator such as 1000. Okay. So you can write them in decimal, hexadecimal, octal, binary, or in bytes. How do you know which type of integer to use? If you're unsure, Rust's defaults are generally good choices. And integer types default to i32. This type is generally the fastest, even on 64-bit systems. The primary situation in which you'd use I size or U size when indexing some sort of collection. Cool. Integer overflow. So if you were to be using an unsigned 8-bit integer, but you have a number larger than 255, such as 256, the integer overflows and has some interesting rules involving the behavior. Okay. So Rust includes checks for integer overflow that causes your program to panic at runtime. Rust uses the term panicking when a program exits with an error. I like that. We'll discuss panics more in depth in chapter 9. When you're compiling in release mode with the release flag, Rust does not include checks for an integer overflow that cause panics. Instead, if overflow occurs, Rust performs 2's complement wrapping. In short, values greater than the maximum value that the type can hold wrap around to the minimum of the values the type can hold. In the case of a U8, 256 becomes 0, 257 becomes 1, and so on. It doesn't panic, but the variable will have a value that probably isn't what you were expecting it to have. Relying on integer overflow's wrapping behavior is considered an error. To explicitly handle the possibility of overflow, you can use these families of methods that the standard library provides on primitive numeric types. Wrap in all modes with the wrapping underscore star asterisk methods, such as wrapping underscore add. Return the none value if there is overflow with the checked underscore asterisk methods. Return the value and a boolean indicating whether there was overflow with the overflowing underscore asterisk methods. Saturate the values minimum or maximum values with saturating underscore star methods. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to handle an overflow. Floating points. 2 primitive types for floating point numbers, which are numbers with decimals. Yep. Floating point types are F32 and F64, so 32 and 64 bits respectively. Default type is floating 64, because on modern CPUs it's roughly the same speed as F32, but it's capable of more precision. Precision is important. So, let's have a little look at some floats. Let's just copy these in. So let x be equal to 2.0, which defaults to a float 64. Let y, defining it as a float 32, makes it a float 32. That's cool. Floating point numbers are represented according to the IEEE 754 standard. Float 32 is a single precision float. Float 64 has double precision. Okay. Rust supports basic mathematical operations you'd expect. I'd expect so. So, I'm not even going to bother writing these. It's supported for everything, so you can do 5 plus 10, subtraction, 95.5 minus 4.3, product through multiplication, 4 times 30, quotient, so division, 56.7 divided by 32.2, remainder, 43 modulus 5. Cool, so that all works basically as remembered. I don't think I really need to write notes on how mathematical operators work. I have that much confidence in my math skills at least. But you know what, I'm gonna copy them in anyway. The Boolean type. Okay, this is actually worth paying some attention to. Not gonna bother typing it all out though. So let t equals true, lowercase. Some languages are kind of fussy as to whether booleans are uppercase or lowercase. Python uses uppercase for the booleans, but C++ and it looks like Rust as well, which is very similar to C++ in a lot of ways, I feel, at least as far as its syntax is concerned. It uses lowercase, so it's worth being aware of that. So let f bool equals false with explicit type annotation. So that's explicitly a bool type. The main way to use Boolean values is through conditionals, such as an if expression, which we'll cover in control flow. Yeah, we're gonna look forward to that. The character type. So we use numbers, we need to use characters too. So let C equal Z. I say Z. A lot of British people get annoyed at me for using Z. Because a lot of people over here like to say Z. Z is how they say Z, the last letter of the alphabet. But the thing is, the way I learned the alphabet, I'm not sure if it was from like watching Sesame Street when I was young, or whether it was from, you know, the certain teachers that I had and how they taught the alphabet. But I learned to say Z. Z is how I say Z, the last letter. Which is funny because I got in trouble for that at school. I had teachers and students saying, "Hey, Mal, you don't say Z. You don't say Z. It's Z." So I would be like saying the answer or like giving the answer to a question in algebra and maths, and I'd say, "Yeah, this is Z." And then they would say, "No, it's not Z, it's Z." And I was like, really? I mean, personally, as much as I really prefer the English writing system, I like using U's in my colour, and that kind of thing. I like English spelling. I like not using Z or Z in every letter, like colorize. It has a U and it has an S in it, not a Z. But yeah, I kind of flop between the two, but for some reason Z just comes a lot more natural to me. But yeah, bit of a random aside here. Bit of a random aside. So yeah, let Z equal Z. Oh, that's not Z, that's... Ah, that's the, it's another character entirely. So yeah, you can simplify things by changing what characters you're using. Here in Beaverland, we use an unholy combination of American and British English. The thing is, really, the only reason there are rules to a language is because everyone has agreed that there are. By all means, just write language whatever way you want. As long as someone can understand what you're saying, you're using English right. Like, don't go too far, especially in formal settings. But, you know, don't worry too much about it. In a lot of cases, you're going to deal with an international audience, and people aren't going to care very much. So let's... So yeah, I don't get on at people too much about how they spell. I don't bother. I don't worry too much about people who spell things in different ways. I can be a bit. Let's see. I can be a bit funny when it comes to people using like the wrong grammar and stuff. Like, bear with me, because when I was out yesterday, I picked up a magazine. Sky at Night magazine, and I was reading one of the articles in it, and I swear someone used the wrong language. Let's see, where was it? One of these little sidebars, or was it in a about the Hubble space thing? No, wasn't that. But yeah, someone did type something wrong. And it was wrong, and it stuck out to me, and I was like, nope, you've done it wrong. Let's see, where was it? I don't remember. I just remember it really sticking out to me and annoying me. So yeah, I do get a little bit, I do get a little bothered about how people write and stuff, but yeah, I don't let it actually get to the stage where I shout at someone in the middle of a class. Yeah, no point in that. So yeah, use whatever language you want. So what we're doing here, heart-eyed cat. Heart-eyed cat. Which is going to be this character. Yay! So yeah, you can just define you want a certain variable to be a certain character. And it can be any kind of character. And Rust's character type is 4 bytes in size, that's big, and represents a Unicode scalar value, which means it can represent a lot more than just ASCII. Accented characters, Chinese, Japanese, Korean characters, emoji, zero width spaces, all valid character values in Rust. Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. That is really nice, actually. I like having the option there. Unicode scalar values range from U plus 000 to U plus D7FF and U plus E000 to U plus 10FFFF inclusive. However, a character isn't really a concept in Unicode, so your human intuition for what a character is may not match up with what a car variable is in Rust. We'll discuss the topic in Chapter 8. So, compound types can group multiple values into one type. Rust has 2 compound types, tuples and arrays. Okay, these are worth paying some attention to for me. If you're wondering why I'm typing 77 on occasion, it's because I occasionally need to mute. I think I'm starting to get a little bit throaty, chesty. Something's working on me. The vaccine curse, we'll call it. The vaccine curse. So yeah, let's keep going. I think we should be able to finish this without... Actually, no, there's quite a bit left. Okay, yeah, there's a little bit left here. There's compound types talking about tuples and lists. And then goes on to talk about arrays and accessing array elements, which is good to know how to do, but it doesn't look too different. Doesn't look too different from what I'd expect. Very similar to Python. It uses square brackets to declare an array, and uses square brackets to access the index of an array. So that's all pretty much as I'd expect. Like, it barely looks any different to Python to me, so I'm happy about that. Yep, that's all broadly fine. So I'm not gonna do this on stream. I think I'm gonna call the stream here. I'm gonna rest. The rest of my the only meaningful difference is that arrays all have to contain values of the same type. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. But with a tuple, it can be whatever, because tuples, I'm pretty sure tuples will still be... Yeah, they have a fixed length, so they can't be extended. They can't grow or shrink. But they do allow you to have multiple different types within a tuple. So that's good. That's good. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to call the stream here. I've enjoyed this stream. I've enjoyed it. We started off... Oh! What is this? What is this? Mechanical Hands is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. Streaming programming is not something that I've done very much of, but it's something that I've been wanting to do. So, considering we've been having a couple of people dropping by, I think I'll see if I can find opportunities to drop them into my schedule a bit more often. But yeah, thanks for following. And TVPG, Raguna, thank you for dropping by. We started off with a little Q&A, responding to some Marshmallow questions about me. If you happen to miss those, feel free to drop by the start of the stream, check those out. And yeah, then we ended up doing some programming for about 2 hours, and it's been great. I would have probably ended up doing this anyway. It's been fun doing it on stream. I'll definitely look at doing it on stream again soon. Let's have a little look. Because is there anyone that I can raid? Is there anyone on that I can raid? No one I'm playing. No one I'm following who I can raid. So we'll maybe pass on the raids for now, but I'll see about gathering some more people to raid in future. Send some people over to say hi to some cool people, because there's plenty of cool people out there. I think I just saw a little note that Misaki has loaded up. She's just loaded up YouTube Studio. Let me just check on the good old YouTube. Yep, so yeah, we've got Sulan, who's live just now. And nope, doesn't look like Misaki is live yet. Maybe she's just doing something. But we do have Sulan. She seems to be doing some drawing over on YouTube. So if you're following her on YouTube, go give her a look. I'm gonna post a link in the chat just now, since I can't raid. Misaki goes live in 30. Ah, of course. But yeah, so in lieu of that, yeah, go check out Misaki. Go check out Sulan. That's Sulan's link there, if you want to go check her out. But yeah, so I think that we're gonna call it here. I'm gonna rest for the rest of my day. Take it easy, have plenty of water, and I'll probably get my stream schedule for the week up tomorrow. I probably won't get it today. I'm gonna see how I feel tomorrow. If I'm feeling healthy, then I may be going for a walk on Tuesday. If not, I'll probably stream Tuesday and take a break on Thursday, or maybe Saturday. We'll see how things go. But yes, with that all having been said, I have been Malcolm Bell. Thank you very much for dropping by. And yeah, I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And I'll even have a working webcam next time. I won't crash out on me mid-stream. Yeah, thank you all for dropping by. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.